Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, so folks, today we're going to announce that we're giving away a few hundred Christmas trees. If you're South Florida based, I'm going to give you info on how to go about getting ready for this. We will be giving away Christmas trees in South Florida. I'll give you the intel here shortly. And I will be there myself as well. Aside from that, we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. It's been a interesting weekend. Lots of stories, lots going on that we haven't yet reacted to. The View is back at it, apologizing to their viewers. As usual, it's become a new thing that they do on a weekly basis. We'll address that. Bill Maher had Jane Fonda. There's a couple clips. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch any of the clips.
It bothered me. She bothers me. Her lug, her smug, just...
You know, I could be your mother. I bet you would like it if I sit you on my legs and
she's
spank
a disgusting...
you. You would like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, she's gross.
You can tell she's had some interesting experiences.
Yeah, she's a Hollywood
Jane
chick.
Fonda was on Bill Maher, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
This guy named... There's this president in this country called America that decided to pardon his son after saying he would never do it, but he did. And it's not called nepotism, apparently, if he does it. But if it is, if the other side... We have a lot of stuff to react to that part with Hunter Biden being pardoned. We haven't done it yet. Karine Jean-Pierre, for the first time, I feel sorry for this girl because she's been saying no, no, no. And then it happens. Now she doesn't know how to spin it. But we'll see what will take place. Trump had Justin Trudeau in town at Mar-a-Lago. They're calling Mar-a-Lago the new White House, folks. The White House may move to Palm Beach the way it's going right now. Can you imagine? He petitions, he says, no, the capital of the United States needs to be Palm Beach County.
Hey, W had what they called the Western White House in Crawford, Texas. So why can't Trump have the Southern White House?
This is the winter
But he
White
grew a
House.
soul patch in Crawford, Texas, right? Playing a little bit of a frisbee with Connie and Dick Cheney.
A bunch of tourists.
Yeah.
Bunch of tourists.
They're trying to put steroids out of T-ball. Too much steroids in T-ball. But still keeping our eye on the ball.
Fool me once. Can't fool me again.
Shouldn't we be overthrowing a country somewhere?
Anyways, Trump says he will free January 6 rioters, which, by the way, that's going to be so interesting when he does that and how the market's going to react to it. Joe Walsh has lost his mind. Joe is a friend of ours. He's been here before. Joe and Vinny, you guys have done some stuff together.
I did some stuff on the piers with him and told him what I thought about him.
So we'll react to that. RFK is taking naked showers. Okay, naked showers,
butt naked.
And but I don't know if we're going to show.
I
that,
think all of us do that, just not while our wife is filming.
While it's being filmed, yeah. Trump defense. By the way, if there is a person that maybe could get away with taking a naked shower and the video goes viral, it's probably
RFK.
It's probably him because he's in shape. But still, you know.
Yeah.
Trump defense secretary nominee Pete Texas, again, Sonny had to apologize from The View. We'll see what that reaction was to. RFK rips Bill Gates, John Kelly at Trump's Georgia rally. Musk rivals fear that he will target them. Bernie admits Elon was right. I ran a poll on Twitter that we'll be talking about two of them about would you be okay? Would you pay 50% more for items if they were made in America? And the other poll we'll talk about is, would you be okay with prices of goods going up 100% if taxes were eliminated? I'm curious to know how you react to it here on PBD Podcast, what the poll will come out. And then we have a couple guys. Major Dem Donor says Barron Trump is smarter than Kamala Harris's entire campaign. George Clooney angry at Barack Obama for Democrats' election debacle. Okay, Times Now, we'll talk about that. Zelensky, a few stories there. Trump has been secretly communicating with man crush Jamie Dimon about White House agenda for months. This is a New York Post story. These women, including OnlyFans model, are getting sterilized and blaming Trump for their decision. Election tied my hands. What a freaking story there. AOC for president 2028. A lot of people are speculating she may run. And then you have Australia, a new law. They now ban no social media for anyone under the age of 16. I wonder if you'll like that idea or not. Police in Moscow raid bars over LGBT propaganda. Moviegoers absurd about woke agenda and Wicked. Eddie Griffin, all Diddy people taking 4-year cruise for Trump. There's a clip on that. We'll play the other one on Hochul with New York about ICE. Googling is for old people. Folks, if you Google today, you're considered old moving forward. That's a problem. The WSJ is calling Google for old people. So, hey, all the old people out there, stop Googling if you want to be young and trendy. I kind of have an idea what direction that story is going. 5 iconic companies have stepped away from diversity DEI. And then on the addendum, with some new stories, some guy decides to hide $2 million of Bitcoins.
Or not even Bitcoin, just a treasure, and I have the list.
All over the place.
All over the United States.
If you want to find it, you have to do what?
You have to buy a book that's $45 on Amazon, and I want to do the math with you.
And in the book,
he tells you, and it's not easy, by the way, but it's nothing dangerous. I'll go over the stipulation.
Wow.
So guess what? If you're home, and I went to go try to look at the book, it doesn't get delivered for like a month or two, because it's like on back order.
Yeah, keep you waiting.
Yeah. Dolly Parton has put on 50 pounds after mental health battle, left her suicidal. That's tough, man. To go through it. Scott Jennings back at it again. Says history will remember Biden as complete and total disgrace over Hunter pardoning. Whoopi, more things there. Joe Manchin says Biden should now pardon Trump after what he did with, what do you call it? After what he did with his son, Hunter
Biden.
Okay. All right. So a couple things here, guys, as we're going through this here today. In November, let me tell you what happened with November with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, everything that we did. Absolutely amazing what took place. We have more people ordering stuff in a month of November than we did all of last year. Record-breaking month. I love the fact that people are we want 1 million people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. And this is probably your last chance here this week to order stuff that it gets to you before Christmas so you can sport some of this gear. We have the Merry Christmas hats that you can go order. Anybody that orders, the first 100 that order, we still have some ornaments left. The Merry Christmas ornaments and Future Looks Bright ornaments left for some of you that haven't. And we have this new gear that came out, which I wish you could feel this material.
Ridiculous.
Feel the material, by the way, what this feels like. Just feel the material.
Wow.
Even
what is that, velvet?
It's amazing. But on the back, what it says is, it says, Happy Holidays, crossed, Merry Christmas at the bottom. Incredible material. This is on the website. If you got a newborn baby, the onesies, and we got a few other these sweaters. Merry Christmas ugly sweaters. Rob, if you can put the link below, VT merch, last chance, first 100 orders, you get the ornaments sent over to you. And stick around. I'm going to give you some intel on some of you guys that want to come and get what do you call it? The Christmas trees with
What happened to the red Merry Christmas hat?
That thing went out.
Sold out.
Rob, did that sell out? Can you go to see if that sold out? I mean, I don't know what happened with that hat. To tell you what, is there still some left of that? Apparently there is, because that went off. By the way, the first 1,000 orders we sold like within 2 days when it came out. Yeah, this is hot, folks. People are ordering this left and right.
Hot route.
Merry Christmas with Future Looks Bright on the side. 1 million people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. I want to run into you everywhere we go. I want to see that gear being worn. Tag us when you do that. All right. President Biden decides to pardon his son, Hunter. Everybody reacts to it. People lose their minds. The clips that you see going viral are clips of him saying he won't do it. No one's above the law. His words. It's funny, there's a tweet that's been trending with community notes. That's Biden who posted no one's above the law. Underneath it, the community note says, on December 1st, President Biden pardoned his own son after for 11 years he was accused, and that's just the one, right? No one is above the law.
How brilliant is that?
And look at this. Joe Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden.
So his son is,
according to Joe Biden's action, he and his son are, in fact, above the law. That's community notes.
That's brilliant.
You know,
that's brilliant.
Elon sort of getting in there.
Well,
and
it's not,
it.
though. It's the heel. It's the heel that's at the bottom of it. So it goes credit to whoever that writes the story. But I'll just open it up, Rob. Do we want to go with Scott Jennings? Let's start off with Scott Jennings' clip. Scott Jennings is somebody, by the way, respect to LA Times, who just decided to add Scott Jennings.
Yeah, shout out to that.
Who will be sitting on their board, right? Editorial board, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got some kind of a job that he's sitting on the editorial board. Let me see if I find this here. Yeah, I'll tell you here in a second.
That's correct. And the owner also refused to endorse any particular candidate.
Right. That's right.
It looks like the owner is trying to get back toward the middle.
Good. Here's Scott Jennings, by the way. Go ahead. Play this clip. Scott Jennings on the part.
Listen, you guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh,
her name is Karen.
Oh, this is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation, it's transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. Yeah. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people are going to be.
Look at her. He knows he's talking about her.
Today, he is going to leave off. You think 38, 39% job approval is bad?
Hold up, Scott. My name is Karen.
You wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced. Disgraced today. Outrageous.
Her name is Karen. Really, her name is
Tom. Are you surprised that he pardoned his own son? And does this open it up and allow Trump to do whatever he wants to do? Because no matter who he pardons is not going to be close to a president pardoning his own son.
Okay, so we have to understand what happened here. You have to read the pardon to understand that this is not just covering his son. This starts back in 2014. Otherwise, he could say, I am pardoning him for the tax, gun ownership, and, list the issues specifically. Usually that's what they do. Presidential pardon says, I'm pardoning this guy who is on death row because I believe DNA evidence showed that he didn't do it. And so I'm pardoning him on that. What this was a blanket pardon for all crimes going back to 2014. Why 2014? That is before the gun charge. Why? Yeah. It's because 2014 is when the business was started in the Ukraine and the money was going back. So guess who also gets covered? Because if Hunter was forwarding 10% for the big guy, remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If he was doing that, now he's pardoned for that. If there were 14 bank accounts that Hunter was manipulating to send the money back to the Biden cousins and nieces and nephews, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Guess what? This is now covering that. This is not a pardon. This is a massive cover-up and a huge sweep of the entire Ukrainian graft and bribes and kickbacks, graft, bribes, all that was going, all the above that was going back. I'm not surprised that he did it for his son, but it's not. This is covering the whole thing, and it happens moments after Donald Trump utters the words Kash Patel, and
that was days after.
And you know what? They know they're coming. They know they're coming. Don't be deceived. Everyone that is in and around Joe Biden wants you to think this is about pardoning his son. He never said he would pardon his son. Look at what it says. All the way back to 2014, sweeping all malfeasances over that scope of time.
Vinny.
Why?
And Tom, you nailed it. And guess what? The big guy, he came through. Okay? And if you guys, I love, not us, but the mainstream media, the Republicans are such shocked and in your awe. That's all these people have been doing is lying. When you see Karine Jean-Pierre on that freaking in the White House press room, you know that book that she has? That's just a book of freaking lies. Every time people talk, she's in there looking for another lie. Kate Hyde tweeted yesterday. She said, Biden's presidency started with him denying the existence of Hunter's laptop, and it is ending with Biden pardoning Hunter for all the things found on that laptop. And Tom, you nailed it. It's a blanket pardon, blanket immunity. That means it cannot be overturned. Supreme Court can't overturn it. Congress can't overturn it. Even Joe Biden. If Joe Biden wanted to overturn it, he can't. And I was watching yesterday Jack Posobiec's podcast, and he said from people on the Hill that he knows and White House staff, you know what happened? Thanksgiving in Nantucket, there was a dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and allegedly Hunter Biden stands up and goes, hey guys, just letting you guys know, I'm thinking about writing a book. I want to write a book about all of our lives. And this is the thing. He was supposed to be sentenced December 12th. So can you imagine that was basically like, are you guys waiting forever? I think I should write a book about everything. This was Jill and this was Joe Biden making sure their asses are covered. And Tom, you nailed it. This is going back for 11 years. And let's not forget who Hunter was. He got discharged from the Navy from 2014 for testing positive for guess what? Cocaine. Sleeps with his dead brother's wife, the laptop controversy, tax evasion, firearm charges, the business dealings. And now we're still in shock that there was cocaine found in the White House and them saying that he's been sober for 5 years. Don't even come at me with that. And now we have Democrats. This is the hypocrisy of the left. They're all like, well, you would do it too if it was your son. That's not the case. The case is the lying. We've been lied to. You guys have been lied to for 8 years. And here's my question too. Is there any way that Biden could get in trouble? Like after, because he can't pardon himself for all the stuff that was involved in all that. If they're pardoning him for all that evidence is still there, and the big guys on there, the emails from Joe Biden are there, could they get him in trouble for that?
I don't know if they can or not. I don't know what's going to happen there. The question I want to ask you is the following.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's ask it from this perspective, Tom. And Adam, I'm going to come to you as well. Ask it from the perspective of, father. Okay, as a father, ask it from a perspective of president. Ask it from a perspective of opening up the pardons that your enemy could do in those 3 areas. Okay, answer it that way. Meaning, honestly, as a father, I'm not surprised he did it.
Of course.
Okay. Number 2, as a president, him doing it. It's a nasty legacy piece, but the way he'll write his book, it's going to be written in a way that's probably going to be favoring and emotional. And let me tell you, I was really concerned about him, and I love him so much. And all I thought about was when he was a kid. But as a strategist, let me tell you, he just made things so easy for Trump. Mm-hmm. He made things. If you go on Twitter, Rob, I posted something on Twitter a couple days ago after this took place. And I'm trying to see which one it was. If you go on Twitter, I posted something about this whole pardon thing. And I said, because originally I said, I'm convinced he had zero intention of pardoning Hunter because he didn't think Trump would win. My thoughts was, this guy wasn't going to pardon Hunter. He was thinking whoever that was going to be, he was going to get a second term, and another Democrat was eventually going to pardon Hunter. It's a better look if Kamala pardons Hunter.
100%.
So if he says, Kamala, you go, one of the deals they probably brokered with Kamala is the fact that on day one, she pardons Hunter. So it's a bad look if he does it. But the moment Trump won is like, oh shit, now what do I do? Because the worst look is if he doesn't pardon Hunter, you think Trump would pardon Hunter? I think he would. And you know what would happen to America if they see Trump pardon Hunter instead of Biden pardoning his own son? Think about that for a second.
That's a great. That's a tactic. The Trump fans wouldn't like it, but as a move, strategic move,
Trump fans would like it. Let me tell you what Trump fans would like. You know why? Because they would say, "Oh, you said he's a dictator on day one. Would a dictator pardon his enemy's son? Would a dictator pardon his enemy's son on day one? Would he do that? So don't tell me he would do that. He's a unifier. I think they took because for me, if I'm Trump." It's 2 ways for me. Again, this is my opinion, thinking like a strategist. Either way, Biden is screwed. And either way, Trump is good. Because here's how Trump's going to do. He's going to go, if you don't pardon him, I will pardon him. And I'm going to pardon the January 6 people 100%. On the same day that I pardon your son to confuse the shit out of the media. I think that's what he would have done if Biden doesn't pardon him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do pardon him, guess what? I'm going to use that to pardon everybody else. Okay,
yeah.
So both ways, because if you go a little bit higher on the tweet, Rob, this thing that Trump understands that the rest don't understand is Trump understands leverage. He gets leverage. I think it's a tweet up. He understands leverage. He sits there thinking about his next 15 moves, and he knows, you do this, I'm going to do that. You do that, I'm going to do this. You do this, I'm going to do that. He is so ahead of the other competitors that he's going up against. They don't have it coming. But to me, it was a win-win for Trump. There was no way Trump was going to lose from this. And I'm convinced, I'm telling you, 95% chance, I'm convinced, they can come out and say, you have no clue what you're talking about. Please don't speak on our behalf. I'm not speaking. It's a podcast. I'm giving my opinion. 95% chance Trump would have pardoned Hunter on the same day that he would have pardoned the J6 people. It would have been Selfishly, I would have liked to have seen the media lose their mind over that.
Yeah.
Because they would have been like, well, we knew he was going to pardon J6. Yeah, well, how about this? Well, that's probably...
Yeah, they're
meltdown.
lost.
It would have been great. Adam, thoughts?
I like the way you broke it down, basically, because you have to think of this in multiple, basically, purposes. There is the father-son element of all this. And everyone that basically weighed in on this, from Piers Morgan to Tucker to Rogan, everyone basically understands that as a father, they all said, listen, man, if my son were faced with something like this, if your son was accused of murder, if your son murdered somebody, would you turn him in? The resounding answer for most people was, no, I wouldn't. So if you're Joe Biden, the father, and you're looking back at your life, he lost a wife and his daughter, in 1971 to a car accident, dead. His main son, the good one, Beau Biden, who was the Attorney General of Delaware, I believe, also major in the Army, died, brain cancer. So now you have your crackhead son left, your only son remaining, and you have Ashley Biden, who's sort of a social activist. What would you do if you were in that situation? You've already lost 2 kids. This is your only boy left, and you're like unbelievably sad and distraught over the situation. I understand that. Pivoting from that, as a leader, so you have the father and the son, and then you have the leader and a loser. You have your loser son. You know, one of the best things that Trump and Hillary Clinton ever did was when he said, say one thing good about what your opponent has done. And he basically said, Hillary was like, look at this guy's kids.
Yep.
I mean, we've met many of them, broken bread with many of them, from Don Jr. to Erik to Ivanka to Tiffany. Barron, what a stud. And then you juxtapose that and you look at Hunter Biden. And it's just like, what a freaking loser. The crack, the drugs, the prostitution, the everything.
The recording it and leaving it at a freaking
and it all
repair
turned
shop.
out to be true.
Of course it is. We always knew.
So
it.
the last thing is the precedent and the president. Is now everyone's basically saying, what's the president here? What's the president here? What's the president here? So the flip side is, and you're starting to see the mental gymnastics, as they're starting to say, is, well, Trump pardoned Roger Stone. He pardoned Paul Manafort. He pardoned Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn, all these things. So what will the precedent be for Trump now that he's coming to term again?
So I think you have to look underneath it, and I understand the part about, it's his son, he's been through a lot, the family's been through a lot. I agree with that. But I think hiding in plain sight is this is a criminal accomplice that just happens to be his son. Being on the board of Burisma and those 11 payments of 15 payments for $11 million between 2014 and 2018. Then Rosemont Seneca investing in Metabiota. Look at all the things that are there hiding in plain sight. And that they want to call this, and by the way, I found this is really funny. Kathleen Jean-Pierre called it war politics, and then Biden said in a quote that it was raw politics. Well, raw is war spelled backwards, and I'm wondering if Biden misunderstood the word and called it raw politics. It's war politics, or shit. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Tom? Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is they pardoned him because there is a litany of things that were on that hard drive that were crimes that were committed.
So are you saying they pardoned him because it was going to link back to Joe? So really Joe pardoned himself.
It does link back to Joe.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying is, just so the audience understands, it's a very good point you're making. Joe Biden just pardoned himself is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
His accomplice, who will never testify against him, who now is forgiven for anything he may have done, guess what? Is clean. And all those things I mentioned were coming back this way. And it just happens to be his son. But I do have a compassionate heart. I believe that Joe Biden is on the twilight of just any sort of recognition. I think he's at the front door of where Ronald Reagan was, where a handwritten note was published by the LA Times where he says, I have been told my condition is worsening. This is what I'm feeling. This is what it is. I believe Joe Biden is right on that doorstep. And we are seeing the sunset, who is one of the, leaders of our nation over time. But I also believe that what happened here is he pardoned himself by clearing
I got it. Okay,
Hunter
so let's
all
go,
the way back to 2014.
So I want to show something to you, Rob. Can you pull this up with Keith Olbermann? And this is the part to me that's kind of confusing with what these guys are saying. So here's Keith Olbermann. I just texted it to you, Rob, a minute ago, and you put a thumbs up. Just go to replies right there. You'll find it. Go to replies. Yeah, if you go to replies, go a little lower. Right there. Second one right there. If you just click on it. There you go. Thank you.
Look at that.
So pardon Hunter, question mark. Great. Now pardon everybody else. Every prosecutor, every Biden administration, every media figure, everybody Trump will persecute. 10 million pardons at least. Then I say, why do you seem so rattled by this news? By the way, he also says pardon me, like meaning pardoning him. Yeah. So this is a little bit deeply concerning because the definition, Rob, if you can go online and look up the definition of pardon, okay? I pulled it up. Just go to definition of pardon. Just type in definition right next to the right definition of pardon. Okay, zoom in. The act of releasing someone from the legal consequences of a crime or an official document that does so. Okay, of a crime. So what Keith Olbermann indirectly is saying is that Joe Biden's entire administration were criminals. That's what Keith Olbermann just said.
Yep.
Keith, you indirectly just said all Democrats are criminals. Maybe somebody needs to call Keith Olbermann from the DNC and just say, shut up, similar to when they made a phone call to Mark Cuban and said, Mark, stop talking about Kamala Harris and go on a Haktua podcast, which I don't know if you saw or not. He was on a Haktua podcast.
And Pat, just going back to 6/6/24, Keith Olbermann, I sent it to Rob, but I'll just read it because this is his tweet now. Back then he said, here, no one is above the law. Not the rich, not the powerful, not the derelict. It's like that's him. This guy is just alone. He's angry. He's bitter. And it's
by the way, believe it or not, people like this, there's certain times like you're going to do a business deal. And it's a big deal. And you have to make a decision who you want to take to be in that room when you're doing a deal.
Yeah.
And a group sits down and decides who's not going to make us look like an idiot when you're making a big deal, okay? If you're the Democratic Party, it's people like this that hurt your brand. Just so you know, this is not a good look, okay? I can listen to Bill Maher. As annoying as it was, sitting there and just watching him talk for 2 hours, and I spoke for maybe 2 minutes on whatever it was. I'm like, I don't even know what he's doing here. Watching Bill Maher sit there, and Rob, can you play this clip of Bill Maher, the one I sent you, not the other one, the one with Bill Maher and Jane Fonda, that he talks about California. And is this the one that says California? There's
that was the pregnant man one. This is the California.
Oh,
yeah,
the pregnant man one.
But watch this one here. I mean, you want okay? Bill Maher is still going to vote for Kamala,
1,000%.
But guess what? This is a better brand than Keith Olbermann, than Jane Fonda. This is a better brand for the left, but the left is destroying him.
Yep.
Like if I'm a Democrat, I'm like, dude, can we have more Bill Mahers? Because at least he's getting people on the right that I want to just listen to the way he talks to Jane Fonda. It's like, woman, you sound delusional about California. Watch this clip here. Go ahead, Rob.
I believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not.
Just listen. Watch
when
what
I
happens
tried
here.
to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. That is...
No, you know this about California. Come on.
I don't.
Well...
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't.
You don't? You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated?
Look at this.
That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And what do you think?
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist.
Look, listen to this laugh.
Not at all. Not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics are. That's not where mine are.
By the way,
in a bubble.
By the way, you know who she was married to? To the founder of CNN,
Turner, right?
Oh, then no wonder why.
But CNN wasn't. Ted Turner wasn't that far left. That's as far left as it gets.
Oh, she's
Ted
the worst.
Turner was more Bill Maher than he was. What do you call it? Jane Fonda. His dream was to one day marry Jane Fonda. He did. But the moral of the story here is the Democratic Party, the Keith Olbermann position, leaning away from those guys. You have to sit there. Somebody in the Democratic Party has to sit there and say, hey, guys, guess what? What? Look at what Trump did. Don't look at who Trump went on, Whose shows did Trump not go on? Think about that question right there. Who wasn't seen as a close ally that he was comfortable being seen with? Why not? Why didn't he? You think that was accidental? There's plenty of people with a lot of eyeballs. Why didn't he go there? Why didn't he go there? There were some places he didn't go to. Because even him and Susie, is it Susan Wiles, Susie Wiles, am I saying it correctly?
Wiles, yeah, Chief
of Staff.
Even they are, do you think on a second run that he's going, maybe Trump is more at a phase that he says, look, I need to lean on some people for better counsel, and he trusts Susie Wiles where maybe he didn't have somebody that he trusted before. He says, hey, I don't think we go to XYZ. I don't think we go to some of these places. I think we plan all this out and we go to such and such. The Democrats need to sit there. No joke. If I had a room and I'm on the Democratic side, I'm going to say, let's rank the top 100 influencers on the left. Who are they? Okay, guys, those 38 are not Democrats. They're delusional. Mm-hmm. Nothing with those guys moving forward. They make us look bad, okay? Those 18 Democrats are really not Democrats. They're Republicans who are not willing to leave the Democratic Party because of their fathers or their mothers, the loyalty to their family. Like who? Joe Manchin is not a Democrat. He's a Republican. He's a center-right guy, okay? Mm-hmm. So then they have to sit there and say, okay, these are our people that we have to build up. And then you turn those guys into heroes. But they're uncomfortable doing that. Because here's a Joe Manchin guy you are a big fan of. You told me about Joe Manchin, 4.5 years ago? Yeah. Here's what Joe Manchin says about the pardoning and what he suggests Biden should do before he's out. Go ahead, Rob.
As a father, I don't know of a father that wouldn't have done the same thing. What I would have done differently, and my recommendation as a counsel would have been, why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges and make it, it had gone down a lot more balanced, if you will. I'm just saying, wipe them out.
What do you think this does for his legacy?
I don't know. From that standpoint, it makes it difficult.
But you know what he sounds like?
Yeah.
But you know what he sounds like?
Like a reasonable
Like a reasonable
dude.
Dude saying that. So Dems need to restructure and get the hell away from the Jane Fondas, the Keith Olbermann, these weird people that you're giving a limelight to that are part of your party. They're making you look bad.
But would you I'm trying to think of it as a business plan, but at the same token, how would you go, who would be calling people like Keith Olbermann and be like, hey, dude, we don't control you. Shut the hell up and get your crazy ass. Rosie O'Donnell, stop making videos.
You don't do it that way.
You got to stop them. These people can't help themselves, Pat. You nailed it. If they had Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, Stephen A., because a couple articles came out a couple days ago where they're like, the left is looking for a Joe Rogan on the left. You're not going to find it when they have shit like that happening because these people cannot help themselves.
You know who's a Joe Rogan on the left today? Bill Maher.
I think so.
No.
He's the guy.
No, he is the Joe Rogan of the left.
Yeah, but is he influential enough to move the vote like how Trump did?
No, he's not as likable as Joe is, and he's not as versatile as Joe is, and Joe is not snobby.
Exactly.
Joe is the guy sits across from you who knows he's smarter than you, but he won't make you look dumb.
Exactly.
He's
pompous.
The guy that'll sit across from you and wants to make you look dumb. So it's not attractive. It's a different brand. But guess what? It's worked for him his entire life.
Of course.
So it's worked for him. So for me, I think Bill Maher is the Joe Rogan of the left. And he may not even like that. Like if you told Bill Maher, you're the Joe Rogan of the left, he's like, who the hell you think you are? I am the Bill Maher. And Joe Rogan is the Bill Maher of me. Like I came before he came. That's what he's going to be thinking about of himself.
Or Jon Stewart, I would say that he's in that category as well.
John is out though.
Yeah, he
John
does
is not playing as aggressive as John is kind of like at a phase of his life that he's not playing ball.
Right, one day a week. I think you make up a great point. Where does the Democratic Party go from here? So what we're looking at right here with Jane Fonda, who's basically completely irrelevant these days. I mean, her name hasn't been mentioned other than the song about the big booty. My anaconda don't want none. Jane Fonda, you know that situation. Yeah. But if you want a real life example of what you hear from the ivory tower coastal elite, you have Jane Fonda not even recognizing that LA or California might be a little bit to the left. Just a little bit. She's like, where are you even getting this from?
Yeah, because she's rich as hell. She lives in the hills.
How are you completely that out of touch, to use a Hall & Oates song right there, to not even recognize that LA and California might be just a little bit to the left on taxation, on regulation? Here's a story right here. We said they want to make a bathroom. It's going to cost $2 million.
Just by the way, just watch this clip.
Yeah.
Watch this clip when Bill asks about trans, and then he suggests to her, the problem is, Jane, you're only watching one thing. And then watch what she says at the end. Go ahead, Rob.
You really think men can get pregnant? You know, that kind of stuff. And I understand that a trans woman can get pregnant. That's different than a man getting pregnant. And the way they sort of insist on blurring that line is if that's some sort of reasonable social cause.
I've never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane, it's not minuscule. And I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. Yeah. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue team.
Watch this.
Well,
and watch what she says. Credit to what she says.
I don't know.
Here.
I read 2 papers,
watch
and
this. Right here.
Yeah, maybe I don't. I should watch Fox News.
No,
I guess
I don't.
What does she read?
Whatever. But
Wall Street Journal.
But watch what happened. This is actually a very where we all go through this process at some point of our lives. You just hope you don't go through it at 87 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
She just went through it for the first time at 87.
I saw it live. Yeah.
But this is, I'm so glad that you played this clip because it's so important because there's a lot of people out there, they're going to have to go through this. I mean, you saw Sharon Stone last week basically saying that the average American's an idiot if they vote for Trump. They don't go on vacation. They don't experience the rest of the world. Most people can't. They don't have the type of money to just go travel Europe and gallivant all over the other side of the world. This is the whole concept of why you trot out Beyonce, Oprah, J-Lo. They spent how much money on these people? Kamala's how much in debt? $20 million after blowing over $1 billion.
She texted me asking for money.
And then this is the reason that you look down on flyover country, this whole situation right here. That's why regular Americans, the Democratic Party used to be the party of the unions and the workers and the working man and the middle class. Now they're the party of Jane Fonda, completely out of touch. It's just sad to see where this party is.
Let me go to this next story here. Let me go to this next story here. And Tom, you're gonna give your feedback on this next story where I'm going to next. You'll see. So a couple things. You have a story here from George Clooney being angry at Barack Obama for Democrats' election debacle. Okay, this is from Times Now, and then there's 3 other stories like that are saying same thing. But let me just read this one with George Clooney. George Clooney reportedly felt betrayed by Barack Obama after the 2024 Democrats' election loss, believing Obama pushed him to criticize Joe Biden's leadership and then abandoned him. A source revealed George is livid with Obama for disappearing after the election fallout. Barack avoided publicly criticizing Biden to maintain his image, while George became the face of the strategy. Clooney felt he was used as a political pawn and blamed for the party's defeat. In controversial op-ed, Clooney questioned Biden's health and ability to read, writing, "The Joe Biden I met recently isn't the same leader from 2010 or even 2020. He mirrored a man we saw at the debate, a version that lacks the vitality needed to win in November." Published as Biden announced he wouldn't seek re-election and endorsed Kamala Harris, the piece drew sharp criticism from Democratic supporters and Hollywood peers. By the way, this continues. Kamala Harris still begging for cash after election loss, and James Carville calls out audit for Harris's campaign spending. This is, by the way, this continues. Major Democratic donor says Barron Trump is smarter than Kamala Harris's entire campaign. Rob, if you have that clip, it's one after another. Imagine you go from partying with Obamas, seeing with them at Lake Como, and all this other, to all of a sudden a story like this leaking out. We don't know if the source is correct or not, but it sounds pretty right that Clooney came out and criticized Biden. And here's a donor saying what he's saying. By the way, I thought he also did a great job on Cuomo's interview as well. But go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
Well, my reaction is, she thinks she's Obama. She goes to Hawaii because Obama goes to Hawaii. She started talking like Obama, imitating Obama. She is not Barack Obama. She has no talent. She can never run for president again.
She has no talent.
She ran once and got 0 delegates. She got 8% of California. I begged them not to put her up. She was going to be tethered to Biden no matter what. That was a zero-sum game for her. But she thought that all these votes were for her. They were not. The votes that she got were people voting against Trump, and the votes that Trump got were the people voting for Trump. What the Harris campaign should have done, instead of avoiding Joe Rogan and podcasts, it turns out that Barron Trump, who looks like a runway model, was telling his father, you need to go on podcasts. You need to go on Joe Rogan. You know, he was 3 hours late to a rally because he was doing Joe Rogan because that was so important. So
of course it is.
Barron Trump is a lot smarter than everybody in the Harris. They said they didn't go on Joe Rogan.
By the way, this is not.
Around her.
This is a former major Democratic donor.
Morgan.
Thoughts on this?
Boy, let's go top to bottom. I'm going to go really quick through this and not be so verbose. John Morgan is right, but now let's go upstream really, really fast. Kamala Harris is done. She's going to get her book deal about how she ran for president. Somebody's going to write her that check. Schuster or somebody on the liberal echo chamber bubble is going to do it. Then she's going to go out and do commencements at HBCUs at $200,000 a piece, which is rumored is what she's being offered for a commencement. So that's going to happen. She's done. Forget about her. She is buried politically, and that's where you will find her selling another book and doing speeches and things like that for people who are willing to pay her. Boom. Number one.
Getting drunk.
Number two. Yeah, maybe so. Number two, George Clooney is right. Obama was hiding in the shadows, and George Clooney and others were convinced to go out and be the verbal mouthpieces so that the politicians could come back to Joe. Joe, we're losing support. Look outside. Clooney is saying it. People are saying it. We need these people, Joe. Need them to support you. That gave, because otherwise, Obama's got to walk in and say, Joe, I think it's time to go. Now he's in conflict directly with Joe Biden. He didn't want that. Did Clooney get used? He absolutely got used, and many other celebrities got used and paid, to go do this. So that's true. The third thing is, if you listen to Carville is right. There needs to be an audit of campaign spending because Carville's worried about the party, and Carville, now I'll bring it home, Pat, Carville is worried about the John Morgans who feel that they got taken for a ride, that they put money in there, that he said, I didn't want that candidate. I went along with it. I did it. And so now it's all coming back where Carville wants to protect the brand. We heard Lou, I forget her first name. We talked about it on the last podcast where she said, Susan Liu, I find it unbelievable how they spent money and they were unaccountable. The DNC was trying to restore order, apparently, in some level, and the campaign was out there spending money like drunken sailors and just out of control. Pat and I sat in Malibu, California, and heard a very measured, very good debate between Ed Gillespie, at that time head of the Republican Party, and Terry McAuliffe, at that point very influential in the Democrat Party and an ex-leader in the Clinton campaign. It was very, very balanced. I had a great conversation out by the pool for about 15 minutes afterwards with Terry McAuliffe saying, have you ever voted for a Democrat? Yes, I did. There was Bob Graham, was a governor of Florida. I voted for him. I thought he was really good. I'm kind of open about this. And I take a look at those two leaders. If Terry McAuliffe had been a leader, or you had somebody like that had been a leader of the DNC or on this campaign, this doesn't happen. But that's how I feel about it, point by point by point by point. This is a train wreck, and the rational voice is the guy that doesn't sound rational because it's Carville trying to save the brand and the party to get ready for midterms in 2026.
Well, James Carville has been sounding the alarm on what's going on in the Democratic Party for at least a year now, but everybody didn't want to listen.
He sounds kind of like a madman a little bit.
A little bit, but that's because he's the raging Cajun.
But he's right.
But here's the deal. You know how much sympathy and empathy I have for the people that have buyer's remorse? This much right here.
Good.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
You decided to go all in on this horrible candidate, and now you want your money back? No. You know what you were purchasing. You know what you were donating to. You know what this was all about. Sorry, George Clooney. You can't just basically win and have the accolades and the flowers when you win, but then when you lose, you're like, oh my God, I was used. What happens when you won, buddy? That's number one. Number two, when I started doing social media content, thanks to, certain friends like PBD saying, get out there, do some stuff, I was doing a lot of money stuff. And I started interviewing all these people. All right, so you're saving, you're investing, you're budgeting, you're doing all these things. What's next? What's next? Well, after you get to the pinnacle, what's next? And these very smart people at this estate planning conference, they said there's only one thing. It just comes down to legacy. And everything comes down to legacy. So if you're looking at Joe Biden right now, you talk about a lame duck presidency. I mean, we're 50 days out until Trump's second term. He's had a career spanning 50 years. This is now his legacy. Usually a lot of these stories, they basically come and go over the weekend, and that's it. Let's go. We move on to the next story. I think this is going to basically stick to Joe Biden like flies on you know what, because this is his legacy. You said it before, Vinny. He came into power in 2020 on the heels of the Hunter Biden laptop. We all knew what happened, what was going on, that suppression and all that, and he's exiting stage left in a lame duck presidency, pardoning Hunter Biden after, you see the montage out there? Yep. No one's above the law. Karine Jean-Pierre is basically like, she should never show her face again at this point.
Full of crap.
Everybody knows that who's basically was lying. Everyone wants accountability. That's what's going on there. And then to Pat's point, where the hell does the Democratic Party go from here? It has to go from the inside out, not the outside in. But enough with the celebrities. Nobody gives a S. Yeah. Okay, start within. Start families, middle class, working people. Because if you look to the coastal elites and the Hollywood and the universities, you go woke, you go broke.
But Adam, I don't see it happening. I think the left is a cancer. It's a poison, and these people cannot help themselves. They're not going to change. They could pretend, and they have the Bill Maher and stuff. They can't. And I'm just telling you right now, Joe Biden will go down as the worst president. Who would you say is up there, Tom? Who do people say is the worst president of the United States of all time? Who's number one?
Well, I think a lot of people point to economic impact, and they'll point to, there's some real oldies in there that did nothing, but Jimmy Carter's economic impact was bad. The thing he said, I think we're just in a malaise, and he doubted the American people. Yeah. That was very insulting to them. He was a good man, but a terrible leader, and therefore a terrible president.
And that's on the economy side. Joe Biden has the economy, he has the border, he has these deaths on his hand, he has corruption, he has his crackhead degenerate son. He'll go down as the worst president, Pat, in the history of this country. Period. End of story. Done deal. And they're never going to change. They'll never change. They can't help themselves.
Well, I mean, we'll see what's going to happen here. And I think right now, as they're going through the rebranding and who's going to be the next person to come out and help, AOC for president in 2028. Furious speculation sweeps social media that the squad member could be running in 2028. Okay. Now, AOC, how old is AOC right now, Rob? If you can pull up to see what her age is.
How much, I guess?
AOC 33? Social media and insider discussion speculate 33? AOC, a squad member, progressive Democrat. Wow. Yeah, a Democrat might run for 2028 first election where she will meet the constitutional age of 35 years old. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz claimed Alex has told people she's running in 2028 since 2019. AOC's names appear among potential Democratic contenders like Harris, Pete, Whitmer, Newsom, and a few others. Critics and supporters debate AOC's chances, with Bhaskar Sunkara suggesting it would be better for the left to run on labor leader with broader appeal than an already polarizing figure. Leftist podcaster Matthew Sitman opined, if AOC runs, she's going to get absolutely smoked, while David Sirota warned her campaign could falter if run by D.C. career risks. AOC's alignment with Bernie Sanders' leftist policies and her outsider status remains points of contention. Tom.
Well, you have to understand how you run. You run in the primary system, and now we know that Bernie Sanders was absolutely screwed in South Carolina.
Yep.
So you have to remember, it's Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. For those of you who've been watching, you can pay attention to how the primary schedules have been manipulated the last two elections, or no primary at all because our guy Joe doesn't need one. So watch what the DNC does. If the mainstream DNC moves the primaries a little bit and puts any dark blues up there, then they're opening the door for AOC. She cannot start in Iowa, go to New Hampshire, and then go to South Carolina and get momentum. That individual is correct. She will get smoked early on that because she needs to get to a California. She needs to get to a New York. She needs to get to a Michigan in the primary. You see what I mean? To have momentum and headlines. Oh my gosh, she won a big state. She won this in the primary. So I believe that her ideology is wrong for the mainstream. However, She knows how to turn a line. She is telegenic. She is powerful at the microphone. She will be the kind of TV podcast candidate that can really carry the branding and the message. But the way those primaries are set up in the DNC, they will set that up to have Newsom or Whitmer or somebody they think is more bankable, because the DNC selects a candidate and then sets up the trapdoors and the stairs on the primary system.
Adam.
I mean, this is the continuing problem with the Democratic Party, is that rather than searching for something in the middle, something that is relevant to all Americans, you're going to New York, Bronx, Queens, woke leftist and being like, come on, you got this thing, AOC. I mean, this is the person who basically, I think she removed her gender pronouns somewhat recently. Maybe she brought them back, but it's completely.
No, she did.
Did she bring them back? She's back, baby. Oh, she didn't?
She said they took a walk.
I'm sorry to hear that for her, on her behalf. So this comes down to a conversation that we continually have. What's more important, personality or policy? I would say personality is. This is what basically will get her sort of in the conversation. But once she gets on the debate stage, once there's actually even a primary in the Democratic Party, all her horrible ideas are going to be exposed. You saw what she did with Tom Homan when she tried to grill this guy, a professional on the border. And she's like, well, you're separating children from their parents. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what happens when they commit a crime, whether they're a legal status or not. That's what happens when you commit a crime. So ultimately, will the Twitter world and the social media world basically catapult her to stardom? Sure. But when stuff hits the fan and she has to actually debate her ideas, she's going to get smoked.
Why would she want to run for president? In 2019, she said the world's going to end in 12 years due to climate change. So it'd be a waste of time if you ask me. Why would she even want to run? The world's we're not going to be here.
Well,
we have the plan B pill.
There's a couple
plan
things
B
here.
career.
When you think about serious, when you think about possibilities, when you think about, potential, here's what the reality is. She is running because of the Democratic Party, meaning Trump ran because of the Republican Party. Trump ran because the establishment right was screwing things up. Trump ran because of Karl Rove. Trump ran because of all those establishment guys that are like, they're not going to let him run. Who the hell you think you are? You're not going to be able to come and tell us that you're going to be the person that's going to be running. We decide who runs. No, you don't. It's called capitalism. I'm going to come in and do whatever I want to do based on the laws that are created for me to be able to run for office in America. My name is Donald J. Trump. I'm running. I'm coming down the escalator and I'm running. Okay, we're going to fix the border. We're going to get rid of these criminals, these rapists, and it's going to piss you off. Here's what we're going to be doing. Ready? Invite me to your show. CNN, MSNBC, Here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to make America great again. And hey, so right now, out of everybody that has the highest chance of winning, who do you think is the one with the most likely of winning? Trump and Coulter on Bill Maher. Yeah. You're out of your mind. George Clooney, he will never be. I mean, what are we talking about? Yeah. He will never be the president. Nancy Pelosi, he's not going to be a president. Yeah. At least I will go down as a president. None of that stuff worked. And the same is for AOC. AOC is the same. She's got 12.8 million followers on Twitter. AOC's got a real following. And the market can tell you whatever they want to tell you. But she is popular amongst the youth, and they're getting older. And AOC herself, if she's able to watch the mistakes that Bernie made, she has to watch Bernie's mistakes. There's a reason why Bernie is not a president today. And never will be. Bernie, he missed his chance. She has to sit there and say, well, what adjustments would I make? That's the case study she has to study on Bernie. Now, at the same time, she's going to be coming in, going up against one of the most formidable candidates that we're going to have in 2028, who she's not going to be able to beat. You know who that guy is?
J.D. Vance.
No, you're not going to be beating J.D. Vance.
Vivek.
Okay, her debating J.D., not going to happen.
No.
Her debating Vivek, not going to happen. Her debating a lot of people, it's not going to happen. But does that mean she can't run? She is very formidable. I'm telling you, she's marketable. She's formidable. She's attractive. I think a couple things will hurt her. I mean, people are going to judge me on this and get up saying, I can't believe you just said what you just said. Next 4 years, does she have any kids? She getting married? She gonna have any family? She not gonna do that? I don't know. America's going back to wanting to have kids and having families again. It's the women on the left that don't want to do it. But most Americans want to have kids. They want to go back to something. What am I doing here right now? Wasting my life. This feminist movement didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to work today like it did 40 years ago. It's just not. Because you know when first everybody started using steroids? You know what we didn't have when steroids first came out? Decades of research of what it could do to you. Do you know what happens the moment there was decades of research of abuse with steroids?
People stopped doing it.
Bodybuilders dying between 35 to 45 years old. Yeah. Why are they dying? Now we have research. You know why at first feminism was attractive? Because it was makes sense. Yeah, I'm a feminist. So we can beat these men.
Yeah.
60 years later, guess what? I'm lonely with my cat, no kids, no husband, and I'm sitting here watching a view with a bunch of miserable people that are all single, no kids, nothing. Do I want that life? I don't want that life. Maybe I screwed up. If she makes a couple adjustments and gets the right people in her ears, and she goes on podcasts and trains herself, like the next year and a half, what would do well for her is to go on podcasts that disagree with her and hang. 2 hours. Do 50 of them. Do 100 of them the next 2 years to get yourself tougher. That's what Vivek did. And every time Vivek would come, okay, interesting. Boom, boom, boom. Tighten the messaging. RFK, boom, boom, boom. Tighten the messaging. Trump, boom, boom, boom. Tighten the messaging. If she really needs to run, don't start doing podcasts in 2 years. Start doing podcasts now. Like right off the bat, go do podcasts next 2 years. Go to everybody and see how you perform there, and she'll get her argument tighter. And if she is able to come a little bit further right from being far left, maybe she'll be marketable, but we'll see what she'll do. With her move. Anyways.
One thing to keep in mind, before she can get to debate a Vivek or a JD, she's going to have to basically get past her own party. I believe that 2028 is going to be the Democratic version of what the Republicans did in 2016. You know, how many candidates were on stage with Trump? 16 candidates, boom, 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 boom. They're going to have to recalibrate and have a debate, a good old-fashioned debate of ideas, and let the best man or woman win, because
Adam, we got to go to the next story.
Adam, what is a woman?
I thought you were going to...
What is a woman?
Let's go to the next story. All right, so boom, I said that already. Boom, boom, boom. What's the next... Let's go to the next story here. Adam's been Googling a lot lately, and I'm trying to get him. I mean, if there's one thing he does, he Googles, but when it comes down to the ladies, he does not Google. He's a ChatGPT guy. Yep. Googling is for old people, and that's a problem for Google, okay? According to Wall Street Journal. Folks, if you were Googling, stop, okay? Honestly, stop. It's not cool anymore. Let's read the story here. Google faces growing threats to its dominance, with younger generation turning to platforms like Amazon and TikTok, where 23% of users conduct searches with 30 seconds of opening the app. AI-powered answer engines such as ChatGPT with integrated internet search are also competing, with NYU professor Melissa Schilling noting AI is to search what e-commerce was to Walmart. One more time. AI is to search engine what e-commerce was to Walmart. Wow, exactly. The rise of AI-generated content is degrading and the quality of web search results, and Google's AI-driven summaries, while innovative, reduce traffic to external websites. George Klukman from Finastra warned that as web traffic declines, the incentive to produce content diminishes, asking, what does that mean for all the websites we have out there, Tom?
Well, this is absolutely correct. And so the headline is, Googling is for old people. That's a problem for Google. What it should say is, search is in the middle of a natural product life cycle. What happened to the minivan? It went away, and we have crossovers and larger SUVs providing us more utility. And you really don't want to go buy a minivan. They're out there, but they're not selling the way they were in the 80s and early 90s. So now search is having a natural life cycle. Where does Google get their search information, Vinny? They scrape the web and websites. And what this guy is saying is, fewer websites make rich content. That's less for Google to scrape and have smart responses for you. Instead, they're using AI against the libraries that are inside TikTok. So it is a generational thing. The younger generation is using TikTok. TikTok says, hey, if people want to search for things, what is the objective? long session time. Hey, we got to put search in here. We don't want them leaving to go to somewhere else. We want them to stay in TikTok, watch more videos so we can make money. Guess what? We could do some search, Vinny. Let's do it. Let's let them search things. And that's what's happening. And this is, so one of the things here is AI is to search what e-commerce was to Walmart. Well, there still is a Walmart, but there's a hell of a lot of Amazon. If you look at the boxes that stack up 3 days after Black Friday on your street and what's on everybody's porches. And so search is having a natural progression of product life cycle, and people that don't want customers to leave their sites are doing everything they can to add search to keep them. And like Amazon and TikTok are doing that very, very well. And so now it's up to Google. Do they respond like a capitalist and keep themselves relevant and adjust their content? Or do they let the newer generation get seized, newer generation of consumers get seized and held by other people? This is a capitalist war, and it's good.
By the way, look at this here. Estimated share of U.S. search advertising revenue from 2018 to today. Google was 60%, where at the time, Amazon was 10%. Google is now at 48%. Amazon is at 24%. Amazon went up 140%. Google dropped 20%. Okay, they're at 48.3%. Yes. And then Microsoft is going lower. Apple is gradually going up. And then there's the other. Rob, do they have anything there with ChatGPT or no? In regards to the traffic, I noticed on the article at the bottom, they didn't have anything. Can you just control, can you do control F ChatGPT? And see what shows up. Okay, what does it say? So the second thread is a rise of answer engines like Perplexity, which, well, do they say on the time? OpenAI has added inner search to ChatGPT. Meta Platforms exploring building its own search engine, and even AI chatbots that can't search the internet are proven increasingly capable at addressing many questions. Interesting that you're saying they scrape, and the fact that people are no longer, like, blogging used to be a thing. Mm-hmm. Can you type, Rob, like history of volume of blogging? What's the word to put? History on, let's see what comes up. And then go to images, see if it shows us on how much blogging happens. What is the right word to type? History of total blogs being written. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm wondering if you go to images, if I go, I want to see if that number.
The blog kind of became a podcast, right? Personal
Substack.
But is that it, Rob?
No, that's average word count for blog posts.
Well, that's also part of it. That's a part of it. Watch that. That's from when though? Is that it doesn't say timeline?
2019, beginning in 2019 to the end of 2019.
Average word count for blog posts written in 2019 from the beginning to the end.
147, 150, 180. Oh my God, it got to 200,000. What is that?
No, I think what this is saying. No, I think what this is saying is, it's saying how many word count was the most words written per article, and the most is 1231 to 1351 is what it's saying. That was the one that people wrote the most. What I'm trying to find out is blogging dead? Is what I'm asking. Because blogging, what you don't get is personality when somebody writes. Mm-hmm. You can get a little bit, but not a lot of it, right? You know, when they say communication, it's 7% written. What is the 73855? Can you type in the 73855? You know which one it is.
Nonverbal communication.
Yeah, I think 73855 rule. If you type in 7% of meaning is conveyed through spoken words, 38% through tone of voice, 55% through body language. You don't have body language in blog, and you don't have voice and tone in blog. Words you do, 7 out of 100. Blogging is dead, and if they can't script for the articles, you know, I mean, that's go ahead.
There's that voice and tone, and when someone calls you dear, and then you don't know how to respond, is it a good thing or a bad thing? What's going on there?
Yeah.
But you know what this story reminds me of about how Googling is for old people? What's the story we covered the one day? Is that the one constant is change. I think if you go back in the history of the Fortune 500 companies and you go back to 1950s, I want to say, only 10% of the Fortune 500 companies that were within the top 500 still even exist at this point. Right, Pat? So all these companies that are basically crushing it, delivering it, Fortune 500 companies, 50 years later don't even exist. So if you're not basically updating yourself, what do we say around here? Outwork, out improve, out strategize, outlast. You also have to do that as a company. It's not just for a person, it's for a company. So what's the whole joke with Facebook? Oh, my grandma's on Facebook, so I don't even want to be on Facebook. Is Google becoming the new Facebook for search engines? We see what's going on with ChatGPT and the chatbots and AI, what's going on with that. TikTok. I think TikTok is the most searched platform that for Gen Z. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They use TikTok. By the way, just quick note, what's going on with TikTok? I thought they were had to sell. What's going on with all that? Now that Trump's coming to the office, he's going to do something?
Apparently, TikTok CEO had a call with Elon Musk. Can you type in TikTok CEO Elon Musk? TikTok CEO Elon Musk. And if you go to news, right there, that's the first one. TikTok CEO reaching out to Elon Musk for information on Trump presidency. Saying he was going to
save Pipko right there, by the way.
Save the popular TikTok as Chinese-owned video sharing site faces a ban following a law signed by Biden. It is Pipko. Yeah. And if you go a little bit lower, it's Musk endorses Trump last one. Okay, it's an older stuff. But they reached out to have a conversation because they're trying to get closer. But TikTok is not in a bad place as it was 2 years ago. Not with Trump.
Why is that?
It's not. One of the bigger investors in TikTok is a friend, and TikTok on the inside, like even when he talked to Charlie Kirk when he was here on the podcast, he talked about what he did with TikTok. He got a hold of the executive and whatever, some of the marketing team that he had a call with. He told him what works, what doesn't work. Even Charlie Kirk blew up on TikTok. Charlie's got probably 20 videos on TikTok, over 20 million views on his account. So TikTok also adjusted.
Yeah, but that doesn't negate the fact that they've been spying and collecting data from Americans and they're still owned by the CCP. How is this story basically just coming and going? And not that you're doing anything wrong here, Pat, but this was a major story that they were going to have to divest or sell, and now it's just a non-issue. This conversation should happen again with TikTok. No,
it's probably going to happen after you get to
the part that's kind of weird, Tom, is the fact that Musk. Think about Musk selfishly. Does Musk want TikTok to do well or do bad?
No,
selfishly.
It's a competitive platform. He doesn't want it to do
But you know what it is? TikTok CEO feels comfortable enough to talk to Musk. So, I don't know. Maybe Musk is country over competition. Who knows? But all I'm saying is, I don't think we know the whole story on what's going on with TikTok on the relationships on the inside. Tom, you were going to say something. I'm going to move on to the next story.
I was going to say, getting back to your original question on Google, it's, hey, capitalism works, man. Nokia was building phones, and they were number one for a long time. They didn't adapt and change, and now Android and Apple destroyed them starting in 2006. It's coming up on 20 years. I mean, Nokia is still around, but a shell of their older self. Chrysler is now called Stellantis, and they're not. And you saw what happened with minivans. This just shows capitalism works. But when we're seeing it in the social media and we're seeing it with it's interesting. We think, Pat, of tech companies as young and hip. You don't realize how old Google really is, and that they are coming up on lifestyle things. And same thing that Facebook. Everybody was like, wow, are you kidding me? Yeah, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids were not on Facebook. They weren't making profiles. No, my mom did that, and I was on there when I was a kid and in Little League and soccer. My mom used to put my thing. That's my mom's thing. That's not for me. Mm-hmm. We're forgetting that new generations are coming up with new preferences, and old products are having their life cycle moments. And that's what's happening here. And along the way, players that are not playing well, like TikTok, are going to have their hearings, and we're going to find out what happens to them.
Yeah. And by the way, talking about social media, very interesting what they did in Australia. No social media for anyone under the age of 16. What to know about Australia's new ban. Rob, if you have the clip on this, a ban on social media for children under 16, which drew criticism from social media companies and leaders, passed the Australian Senate on Thursday, poising to become the world's first law designed to keep children off social media. The ban, which would allow Australia to fine companies for not preventing children from the age of 16 having accounts, passes 34 to 19. I mean, that's like a overwhelming victory on Thursday after passing the House 102 to 13 on Tuesday, according to Associated Press. It's expected quickly to become law when it will give social media companies 1 year to prevent those under the age limit from having accounts or otherwise risk being fined, you ready? $33 million per. Did you hear that?
For what?
Per each account that they allowed this to happen is $33 million per.
Whoa.
She'll break you down. Critics of the bill in the government expressed concerns it was rushed. And one independent lawmaker said it was a blunt instrument that would not actually hold social media companies accountable. Go ahead, Rob, play this clip.
Social media has a social responsibility. We know they can and should do better to address harms on their platforms. That's why we're making big changes to hold platforms to account for user safety. The Online Safety Amendment, Social Media Minimum Age Bill 2024, will amend the Online Safety Act 2021 by introducing a minimum age of 16 to have an account on age-restricted social media platforms, protecting young Australians at a critical stage of their development. The bill puts the onus on social media platforms, not parents or young people, to take reasonable steps to ensure fundamental protections are in place.
Tom, thoughts on this?
So there's two parts of this. First of all, I worry whenever a government says that the onus is on the company, not the parents or the young people. There's got to be parents involved here. So that worries me. However, the logic that Australia used was kids were distracted in the classroom, and it was very difficult to control them. Asking them to put their phones aside was resulting in videos where students were very upset with their teachers. There was an ongoing stress through constant comparison that they said was not healthy for girls 13 to 15 as they're developing. And there were girls hurting themselves as the more shy and more quieter by personality were under the stress of this comparison, actually hurting themselves. And there was more than enough, and we've got evidence of this, actually, every country in the world who cares to look. There's a lot of predators that are out there. And so, you know, they're saying, okay, enough is enough. We, the government, are taking steps. Now, I think there should be parental controls in place and parental involvement, and parents should be making decisions, because I do disagree with Australia saying, we will put the onus on the social media companies, not the parents and not the young people. That there is a liberal trope about how we at the government know better than you do. And I think that's kind of dangerous, but you can't argue with the logic of all the consequences that they've seen among the youth.
Vinny, how do you process this?
I think it's, and you know how I stand with the social media, with the kids and the phones and the, just, you know, watching how, you know, how you are with the kids with time. Like I am pro letting them live their lives, go out, play, meet people, do the thing. I think social media at a young age is messed up, but this is Australia we're talking about. Like, let's not, if they care so much about the kids, look at what they made them go through during the COVID lockdown with the schools, man, and the mask. I saw videos of them shoving masks on this kid, the kids are crying, and then vaccines and all that stuff. So I think it's a good idea. Their track record isn't that good, but, you know, I don't have any kids, but the same token, I wouldn't want them rotting their brains on social media at a young age. I think 16 is a good age where you're like, okay, I've lived my life. I know how to meet friends. I know how to socially interact with people. Tom, I know how to talk to people. I went to a restaurant this weekend. It was Umberto's birthday. I'm going to a restaurant, and the whole everybody was on a different social media app. The mom was on TikTok. The father was on TikTok. Nobody was talking to each other. The kid, I didn't hear one. I mean, people were complaining because they were like, dude, thank God the kids aren't making noises. Not one peep from anybody at that table. And there was another table, and they were all on TikTok, just like this, like zombies. Nobody was talking. I think it's actually a good idea to keep it to 16.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, young people need to prioritize socializing over social media. How many young people do we meet that can't even look you in the eye and shake your hand?
Yeah, they're on their
or they
phones.
give you one of these dead fish things. Or, you know, you've seen a whole table of dinner and then everyone's just kind of sitting here like this. I love the fact that when we have dinners now, we actually have to put our phones away.
I love it.
Hot route right there. But, you know, Ron DeSantis came about 6 months, a year ago, had a new law in Florida. You have to be at least 14 years old to start a social media account unless the parent authorizes this. Now, Australia is pushing it out to 16, a little on the older end of this. But then you juxtapose that with when you poll young people, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do they all say? I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikToker. I want to be an influencer. So how are you going to basically stop young people from accessing social media? Are you giving them phones? I mean, my nephew, he's 12 years old. He has an Apple Watch. Do any of your kids have a phone yet? Tico has none of them have a phone. So this comes down to, Tom, as you said, parenting. What are the parenting comfortable with? I have a good buddy of mine. I won't mention his name. he's going through a little situation with his wife right now and the kids. And the oldest kid, I think he's like 10 years old, all he does is do this on his phone. And he's posting clips to YouTube. And I'm like, you got to stop your kid from doing this. He's like, I can't. There's a restraining order. There's all this issue going on. But I'm looking at the guy basically melt because he can't stop his son from basically doing all this nonsense on social media because the wife is totally cool with it. So,
Rob,
this is a conversation that needs to happen.
Rob, what do you think?
I have a 15-year-old, and he is not on any social media platforms. We take his phone. I took what you did with, I know that you have a rule with your children where they have to read in order for them to get things. We started doing that with my son. He has to do 30 minutes of yoga. He has to do 30 minutes on the treadmill. Then he can have his cell phone, but his cell phone doesn't have any apps on it that are tied to social media. So the only things that he can really do on the phone is text his mother and I and make phone calls to his friends. Otherwise, they get in that doom scroll where they'll just continue to scroll and scroll and scroll, and it drives me nuts. And I agree. I went to a restaurant with my family and saw the same thing Vinny did. You look around, every single person, they just hand the phones to the kids because it's an easier way for parents to parent instead of actually doing the hard work of parenting.
Yeah, Tom calls it what? The electronic pacifier. Just I don't want to deal with you.
Are you good with it being illegal?
No.
Why?
I agree with Tom. Too much government overreach. I would prefer to force parents to do the job of parenting. And if they don't want to do that job of parenting, then there's going to be ramifications that are going to affect their children that they're going to have to deal with for the rest of their lives. Look at Hunter Biden is a prime example of somebody who was babied his entire life, was given a silver platter, and now look what he does. He gets a pardon for doing all of these things. It's starting a bad trend for kids and parents.
So when is law good? Is laws always bad? Like, for example, should we make cigarettes available to kids under the age of 18? It's unhealthy to smoke cigarettes, right? Should we allow kids to smoke cigarettes under the age of 18? Should we allow kids to be able to drink alcohol under the age of 18? Should we allow kids to, because some may say, well, no, cigarettes is actually in health. It's bad for your health, and drinking is bad for your health. Social media is actually bad for your health because interaction with other human beings is part of your health. You being addicted to a mechanism is a form of a health, issue, right? So I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate to play the argument that somebody may say, okay, you want to be the guy that you're worried about overreach? Great. Why don't we just remove age categories on cigarettes and alcohol, Tom? Why don't we do that? What do you say to that person?
Well, there's two sides to it. First of all, once the research is apparent, this is the role of government. Government is to build a border and protect that border, to protect you from known threats. And once we discovered what we discovered, that Chesterfield that had been paying doctors, they're saying, my doctor smokes Chesterfield and it says it contained vitamins. That was an ad that the industry actually did. And so once you know that it causes cancer and emphysema and all these things, then you say, okay, if you're 21, you can do it, but no kids, no advertising it near schools. There was all those things that they did that because they would take Joe Camel, an animated camel, and tried to make him look appealing and interesting and fun like Disney. And he was Joe Cool and trying to attract kids to smoke. So those laws become good. Alcohol, we go nationwide now at 21. That's good because we see limits. The information now is there. And so why not having a broad-based law about the age for social media now that we understand the consequences? The same thing that we have for guns and alcohol. And guess what? Parents that don't control the access to guns have been brought into court. Parents that allowed kids to drink or enabled them to drink when a kid gets drunk and does something are brought into court. So it's not a bad thing when the government says the common good, that there's enough information here that we need to go and put a law in place. What bothers me about Australia is the quote saying the onus is not on the parents.
No, I'm with that
kids.
there. I'm with that.
That quote flips me out.
No, I'm with that.
But government making limits and guarding those limits is not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm with that. All I'm trying to say is because to me, if it's overreach, well then guess what? Parent better so your kids don't smoke cigarettes. parent better so your kids don't buy alcohol. Why don't you go parent better? This is the part where I think a debate between the two with arguments and stats. When I read Anxious Generation, written by a guy on the left who agreed that conservatives raise better kids than the left does, conservatives raise happier, healthier kids than the left do. Every parent should read this book, Anxious Generation. Every parent. I read it, and I told everybody around me to read it to the point that, guys, this is what's weird. Every year I hold a insurance conference that's only for CEOs of major insurance companies and executives of major insurance companies. I've been doing this since 2015. Every year I give them a gift, okay? Every single year I give them a gift. I gave the Buffett letters. I gave God knows how many different things I've given over the years. Tom, you've been a part of many of these when I'm giving these gifts out. You know what book I'm giving to all the executives this week? It's this week. What's this week? Is it Thursday or Friday or
Thursday
whatever?
this week, yeah.
I'm giving them the book Anxious Generation. So I think every one of them, directly and indirectly, is dealing with this with kids. I don't know. I think there's a part of me that sits there and says, you know, it's a, hey, Dad, I want to be able to drive at 12 years old. No, the law says 16. But I want to drive at 12. No, the law says 16. What a bad father you are. If it wasn't a law, maybe you would drive, but the law says 16. So say there's not a law for driving. Dad, can I drive? Joey's dad lets him drive at 12. No, in this family, it's 17. You're a horrible father. Mary's mom allows her to drive at 13. If there's not a law, I think the law part, I don't know. I don't know. I get kids that come over to the house and I just watch them. They drive me insane. When I watch them glued to their deal, it's insane. First of all, it's disrespectful when you're sitting there with somebody, you're talking and they're on the phone the entire time. Like, hey, man.
Yeah,
hello.
I'm here.
McFly, I'm here.
Yeah.
There's people around you. Hello, Tom. Hello, Vinny. Hello, Pat. Hello. Come on, guys. Come on. We got versus set them aside. Let's talk. You're forced. And even when we're there, when the phone's not next to us, what do? You notice we go like this?
Oh,
you notice we're doing that?
Your brain is like, I can't wait to look at it.
I don't think this is just a kids thing. I think this is also hurting adults.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real thing. I don't know. I'm a little bit with creating a way for guidelines to be created for parents and social media companies to not target kids. I'm partly there.
How old were you when you got your first phone?
22.
Okay, that wasn't even a smartphone, just a regular old phone.
No, that was the old snake game, whatever the snake game was.
On Nokia.
Okay,
yeah, on Nokia.
And Vinny, how old were you
when I got my first phone? Shoot, I think like when I was late, really late.
Just looking for a number 16? Here, buddy. That's late. 16, Tom.
17. I don't know.
6 years old.
No.
I'm on a calculator instead of a pacifier.
Okay. My first phone was almost $2,000. And it was installed in my car when I was 26.
Gangster. Hair waving in the
long
wind.
time ago, Tom.
Women all over him.
Rob,
Women
how old were you?
Seat.
16.
Okay, so we all got our first phones when we were 18, 16, 20, 22 somehow. Tom, whatever age you were. This is exactly what we're talking about right now, is that we're not even getting access to any of the kids. We all got this when first smartphone I got, I think, was smartphone 2008. Okay, so now you're born. Imagine Dylan. Hey, what's up? I'm a young stud, 6 years old. Boom, phone in my hand.
Computer.
Imagine
everything.
what kind of issues this can create for young boys, for young girls. What's going on there? And the parents are just enabling them.
Yeah.
Nah. As long as you can, keep kids away from social media.
If I had my way, I would find a way to get DeSantis to ban you from having a phone. But that's a different story. It's better for society from having a phone. That's a different.
What is a ute?
Different conversation to have. Utes?
What?
Youts.
The two
Youts.
what? Oh,
the youts out there. By the way,
Yeah.
why don't we help some people find $2 million? Is that okay with you?
Let's do that.
A Bitcoin millionaire hid $2 million in treasure across the U.S. Here's how to find them. Let me read the story to you, and I want to go to Vinny. John Collins Black, inspired by his love of fantasy and famous Forrest fan treasure hunt, has hidden 5 treasure chests across the U.S. worth $2 million. His book, There Is Treasure Inside, provides all the clues you need to locate the chests, which are custom-designed puzzle boxes containing rare collectibles, historical artifacts, and valuable items such as a brooch once owned by Jackie Onassis, a 96-carat emerald, and Wilma Rudolph's 1960 Olympic gold medal. The treasure hunt is designed to be accessible and safe, requiring no dangerous exploration or digging. Collins Black assured participants anyone of average health can travel to these sites, emphasize that the chests are not on private property. Thousands of treasure hunters have joined online forum like Discord to collaborate on solving the clues. Vinny.
When I first heard it, I was like, oh, let's just get a van, Pat. Let's get out there and go. And then I saw the book, and I'm like, what a gangster business move. The book is, well, how much is it right there, Rob? 45? Where are we at? It's on discount right now.
47.44.
And then if you get it, does it say how long it takes to get to you? Because I'm trying to figure out when this competition has started. When would it get here, Rob? Look at January. So you're already going to be screwed because you have to find it. And then I did the math. So for $2 million, Pat, he'd have to sell 44,444 books. Is that a lot for Amazon?
It's not, but he's going to get 50% of it. So it's really 88,000 books he's got to sell.
88,000 books, which I think he'll do. But and I want to go over some of the contents as well that you didn't. So he has Bitcoin in there. You talked about the Emerald, a Charizard Pokemon card, 2002, antique salvage from a shipwreck. It's no joke. This is a treasure hunt. A jelly glass once owned by George Washington, a sapphire, a BCE gold Greek laurel, a coin designed and minted by Pablo Picasso, a lunar rock specimen, and you'd appreciate this, 1986 Michael Jordan rookie card. Yeah, rookie card. Yeah, so here are some of the things. He spent 5 years doing it. The book are challenging. They're designed to test the most adept. Tom, you'd be freaking perfect at this. Somebody that's adept to treasure hunting. Tom is huge in the treasure hunting community. The chests are not located on private property. Anyone can do the hunt. You have to get the book. And if the treasure remains undiscovered for a long time, he plans to release, ready for this, additional clues to assist the hunters. Probably another book because he made it so hard to find the first time. But I think there's another guy, Tom, I don't know if you remember this, an art dealer named Forrest Fenn. He did the same thing where he had a chest of gold and jewels in the Rocky Mountains.
And 5 people died.
5 people died. That's what I was saying. Yeah. People died.
And the guy who found it, kept it secret.
Yeah, scumbag.
Or something like that.
But I think this is a great...
Is this creative? Is this like a way of selling? But is he going to get a return on his money?
Well, let's just to see how many books were bought. If you're really clever and you hide it really good and you make the clues really difficult, then maybe you'll make the $2 million back on the sale of the book. Yeah, maybe.
Well, because I was going to ask, how would we? Can we find out now
how many books you have to sell? Take 60% of the price of the book.
So 80,000.
80,000 books. So here's my question: can we find out how many he's sold so far? Is there a way to find out how many books of there's treasure inside have been sold? Because Rob, yesterday it was if you bought it yesterday, it wasn't going to come till December something. Today, when you just showed it, it's mid-January.
By the way, you know what the genius of this would be?
What?
There is no hidden treasure.
He doesn't have
to.
So
no one's going to find it. So people are going to keep buying it. 2 years,
buy the second book.
This is like Mel Fisher.
But is that a crime? Is that a crime?
No, it's
lying. It's not a crime. Just ask Joe Biden. Pardon Hunter Biden right there.
A bit of a scumbag move. I don't know if it's a crime.
I mean, he just put them all in his backyard.
There may be treasure here. I don't know.
I think it's a great business idea, and it's adding some excitement.
Okay,
Pat. Well, how about this? Why don't you give me and Tom,
guys? We have to finish the podcast because we have to go chase. Find
me and Tom want to leave.
Yeah,
let's go.
But let me tell you, for some of you guys that are before we go through these last 4 stories. If you're in South Florida, this Thursday, is it Thursday, Tom? I think it's this Thursday, we are giving away hundreds of 7-foot Christmas trees.
He's making
We're
Christmas
making
noise.
Christmas songs.
Please don't do your sound effects, Tom, unless if I ask for it. Tom sound effects.
He looks childlike when he's doing that. Allow the young man to do his little thing.
When the person is trying to give away some Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Tom does the tweaking of the, what do you call it? The weed sound and all this other stuff that he does.
I mean, imagine if he was eating a bag of chips right now. You'd
do
shut
this
down
again
this whole
in a few
operation.
minutes. I'll come back to this.
There'd be a felony.
I'll come back to this. Okay. I was not ready for that sound. I'm going to have nightmares about that.
You all right?
Yeah. All right, so let's go to Kash Patel. Kash Patel, Trump taps Kash Patel for FBI director and ally who would aid in his effort to upend law enforcement. And by the way, God knows how many clips there is reacting to this. Trump's aide Kash Patel demands massive declassification, calls for release of Epstein and Diddy list as truth must come out. A lot of people are
Love it.
A lot of people are concerned about this. So Trump say Kash Patel called for declassification, including the Epstein list, Diddy list. The truth must come out no matter how uncomfortable. Patel, a former national security official, argued that these records, Rob, if you want to play this clip, go ahead and play this clip. Government gangsters. Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
Anyway, the other thing that I put in the book that I recommended the boss to do hits on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office.
Yes.
Rolling papers out 24/7.
Yes.
And not just like
ticker
JFK
tape.
and not just 9/11. You're talking to the guy that's read the whole 9/11 report and those 7 pages that people talk about. But I believe, as like the guy who is an intel guy who believes wholeheartedly in the classified system of information, I believe that it has been over-abused by these corrupt officials in government to hide the truth and enact more corrupt activities. So what I told the boss was like, I don't care what you call it, truth and reconciliation, whatever, come up with a better name. But every agency and department literally submits all of their documentation. And I believe you could get half out. Half. I still think the other half needs to remain classified. I'll always argue that it does serve a purpose. But like you're seeing in these documents in the Jack Smith case, they're just redacting stuff that they lied about, that they broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's used to protect themselves.
And it's a public document in a federal court, which is a document for the people of the United States. And we can have you run that office. You can come in and just be like, hey, I want all the Saudi documents.
I'll gladly do that. I'd be so happy.
So
Luke will be the press secretary for the Libertarian Party. The declassifying
the
documenter.
Viceroy of declassification.
Absolutely. I like that.
There you go.
I'm in. You got
what do you think about Kash Patel?
Right now, there is an all-time low confidence in government, exceeded only by the even lower low of people's trust in media. And I believe that the FCC chairman is very, very important. And I believe Kash Patel is very important. Because if we're going to restore pride in America, it has to come with this thing called trust. And we have to elevate some trust over this gooey, corrupt, disgusting, smelly thing we call government. And I'm with him. I think you need to declassify a lot of these things to restore some public confidence, find out what happened in a couple of these things. He's right. Jack Smith was redacting things that were basically the things they lied about. So it's a cover-up. It's using the redaction and using classified to create the cover-up. I think a few of those, just like food poisoning, you just got to throw up the food, start eating the saltines, sipping the Gatorade, and get your body back to normal. And I think that's what he has to do. And I believe Kash is the guy to do it. And I think he's not a political analyst. He is not a pundit. The guy is a national security official that knows what the hell he's doing and isn't going to declassify nuclear launch codes or secret CIA operations that are going on right now where people could get hurt or things. He's going to restore trust. And I think he's absolutely correct. And he says he needs an office of declassification. Okay, that shouldn't be declassified. That shouldn't be declassified. No, not that. Yes, this, because it does serve a purpose. I think this is great news. And I think that it's not going to take a day. It's going to take time. But I really want to see 2 years into this and to see what he's been able to classify. And it's going to be big headlines. Some of it's going to be breaking glass. But I think the American people sit back and say, well, you know what? Now it's out there. But the other thing that happens, he doesn't let new things get classified. And he's got to be able to put a stop to some of that, like Jack Smith, classifying things just so they could hide lies.
Vinny.
I absolutely love this dude. I've been following this guy from when he was on Sean Ryan and when he was in Trump's administration. He said if he became the FBI director, he said, I would shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopen it the next day as a museum of the deep state. All right. And he said, then I take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America
to be cops,
to chase down freaking criminals. Because you guys are cops. Go do your damn job. Stop being political activists for the freaking the leg of the freaking Democratic Party. He said every agency and department that I've worked for, when it comes to the fiscal end of the year, they're like, they go on trips, they go spend money. And he's like, you have to get back to Congress. And he goes, we can't do that. So He was on Tim Dillon, PBD, and he was talking about Tim Pool. I'm sorry, okay. Tim Pool. I apologize. And this was the January 6th situation. The entire January 6th, which has been bothering me when they tried to push this insurrection and impeach Trump and all that stuff. This is what he's saying about Ray Epps about that day. And if it's okay, I want to show this and then a quick clip of Ted Cruz talking to Jill Sanborn with the FBI, and she wouldn't admit out loud in front of Congress that there was no FBI people there injuring people and starting a freaking a riot. This is him on the Ray Epps situation. Go ahead, Rob.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt. Two pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele Halper and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you
then that's the guy that you wanted to have in Christopher Wray's job. Good riddance. And this is it, Pat. He's asking Jill Sanborn basic questions, and if it's definitively no, just say absolutely not. They weren't doing all these things. She can't answer because it's true. Go ahead, Rob.
How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Why?
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
What?
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
PBD, she can't answer that because she knows that they were there. That's why Christopher Wray was there when he was in front of them, and he goes, I can't answer that. And that's all they've been doing. I think he's a breath of fresh air that's going to come in and clean house. He's my favorite draft pick of this administration, hands down.
Well, my favorite draft pick is by far and away Vivek and Elon and Doge. But I applaud this pick. There's a couple of things that I've been seeing a lot of his highlights, sort of his greatest hits that basically were from a few years ago. Number one, this guy is a true believer. He didn't just come out of nowhere and this is what he wants to do. He's been saying this for years and years and years and years. So I got to give someone respect for basically putting where their money where their mouth is, because if they would have lost, who knows what would have end up happening with Kash Patel. So respect on that. Number two, something that I think we're all recognizing is that we didn't fully understand this in 2016 and certainly not in 2020, but for sure in 2024 is that what people enjoy about Trump and basically the people that he's putting into power are that they are the wrecking balls to the system. In 2016 and 2020, everyone's like, you can't, he's not presidential. He can't come in. This is crazy. He's never going to win. All the naysayers. Now people are basically recognizing that in 2024, everyone he's putting into the power and everybody that he's basically putting as part of his administration is because they want to basically do away with the deep state, drain the swamp, get rid of the nameless, faceless bureaucrats who are running the country, that we have $37 trillion of debt. Let's see what Doge does with this. So he's coming into power right now, potentially. This is, other than Matt Gaetz, you saw everything that happened with Matt Gaetz. No way, they're not going to pick him, not going to pick him. Boom, he drops out of the race. Other than him, it's Kash Patel, number two, as far as what you're getting the backlash, and then number three, Pete Hegseth. We'll see what happens here with Kash.
What backlash is he getting? He's not.
There's getting a lot of people basically saying, hey, listen, do you know how long the typical term of an FBI director is supposed to be? 10 years.
Yeah, they want him to stay. They want Ray to stay.
They want Christopher Wray. By the way, who, in all fairness, who put Christopher Wray in charge?
Yeah, like he would know that he turned into this scumbag.
I'm just saying these are the facts. Trump wants a new FBI director.
Yeah, but what criticism is Kash getting himself?
That he's... This is what they're saying, not me, that he's ill-equipped, that he's basically looking to dismantle the FBI, everything he said. So hear me out for a second. There was a Nobel Prize won, I believe in economics, for a book written this year. It was called Why Nations Fail. So I don't know if you can find this. And it's the origins of power, prosperity, and poverty. And basically, this is it right here. The basic premise. Okay, so it was they won the Nobel Prize, but it was written a little while back. The basic premise is what separates powerful countries and rich countries and countries that have peace and prosperity are institutions. So what are the institutions in America? Our government, our electoral college, our systems, our FBI, Department of Justice, CIA. So when you have someone like Cash come in and say, we need to take a wrecking ball to the entirety of the FBI, which he'll basically be heading, right? People have a lot of problems with that. So I don't have a problem with this because I believe that we do need some accountability for all the nonsense that has basically been exposed over the last 4 years, if not longer. But this is going to be a controversial pick. Let's see if he gets through Congress. Do you think he's going to make it through?
I was saying yes. Humberto was like, no, there's absolutely no way he's next on the list. I mean, they're going to try to find something, but I mean, the guy's he was the director of what? And what was his previous job under Trump? Director of intelligence,
assistant director, or something like that. He did. He was he
has the background. He's been
around.
He's a G.
But listen, for everybody that says they're not qualified, everybody is not qualified for the job until they get the job.
Of course,
there isn't anybody
well,
that's.
And you're kind of.
What's that again, Rob?
Sorry.
I didn't know you could hear that. Everybody is not qualified for the job until they get qualified for the job, and for me, this is a very, very, very powerful job. Very. Okay. I hope Cash does what he said he's going to do.
Yep.
Because if he does, Cash is going to be someone that could increase the level of trust Americans have in the government. That's his role. Go back to the trust the American people have in the U.S. government, Rob. Can you pull that up? The trust Americans have in the U.S. government.
Was it less than 6? Was it 65?
23, 24. No. It's in the 20s. It's not a
Congress.
Yeah.
Way underwater.
Congress has been 19 to 20.
I thought it was all the way at the top, Rob. You just had it. What's that one right
Public
there?
trust
Right
in
there.
government.
It's less than 20%. It's 23% if I'm not mistaken. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, because I can't see it. 23%. Okay.
So 19 to
what is it,
23%?
22%. Okay. So 22%. I would say if Cash stays until 28, and that 22 goes to 40 plus, he's the MVP.
Wow.
Yeah. He has the opportunity to play a very, very important role. His job is a very important job. Very important job. And I like the fact that he has the balance to say, I don't think we have to tell everybody everything, and I think we have to keep some of this stuff. This is why I don't know if they're going to tell us everything about John F. Kennedy assassination. I don't know if they will. I think RFK wants to go in there and see the files. Yeah. He wants to see the files.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if they're even going to show it to him, because to him it's so personal that
he'll lose his
he'll
mind.
write something about it before he dies. But because how do you get somebody to post and write something to say no matter what he's willing to commit? But if he's able to balance that out, he's got a lot of power in a sense. Tom,
if you'll stay on this just for 1 second, Pat, look where we were in 1960 after Eisenhower. We were at 77%.
Yep.
And 20 years, exactly 20 years, it went all the way down to 25%, 75%, 25%. We lost 50 points. And we lost them on three things. Why did bad things come in three? The Kennedy assassination, the Vietnam War, and
Watergate.
And then Watergate. And it all devolved our trust in government. We didn't trust Johnson. We didn't trust, by the way, people forget is how much American people, once he was president, did not trust Lyndon Johnson at all. And it was over Vietnam. And then Nixon and Watergate. And they're like, wow, all the more reason not to trust it. And there was conspiracy theorists and everything going on all back then. Did we kill Kennedy? Even back then, initial books were written. And that's where it's at. And by the way, it really hasn't ever recovered. There was a little, run up with W and Clinton, believe it or not,
9/11
culminating in 9/11, a bit of a spike. But we need to get it back. And there needs to be.
That's what I'm saying. He's got a very important job.
You're correct. I'm backing it up, pointing out that how quickly 3 presidents and 3 events took 50% of the confidence and the pride that people had in their government.
You know what it is? I read a book on leadership by who's the coach that won 2 Super Bowls for the Giants. What's the guy's name?
Bill Parcells.
Coughlin. Coughlin. Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin wrote a book on leadership. Tom. It's the one right there. Right there. The first one right there that you
Giants
got.
And
right there, that one. What does it say? What is the title?
Earn the
right to win. And he says in his lifetime of coaching, he tried so many different ways to move people. The fear of loss, the FOMO, the chewing their asses out, public whatever, and all this other stuff. He says nothing ever drove us more than the pride to come through individually and collectively. To say the pride of you can count on me. Vinny, can I count on you? You can count on me. PBD, can I count on you? You can count on me. Can I count on Valuetainment? You can count on us. You can count on the team. Can I count on this department? You can count on us. Nothing comes close to the pride more than the MVPs, more than the accolades, more than the contracts, more than any of that stuff. All that stuff is important. But the pride, we did this thing together. You can rely on us, coach. You can rely on us, America. You can rely on us, voters. You voted accordingly. You voted the right way with those 7 states. We're going to come through for you, voters. There's nothing like it. And a lot of these people that Trump's putting there are people that have a lot of pride. And folks, we got a lot of pride for Christmas. This is why this Thursday we are we're giving away hundreds of Christmas. We had to buy it from this one place in Carolina. We bought a few hundred Christmas trees, and we contacted some local charities that were helping out with some families. But we are keeping 100 of those trees for the first 100 that show up this Thursday, 6:30. We'll be giving away those trees. If you want to get more information about how it works to participate, you're not buying anything. You don't have to buy anything. You come, we give you a tree. We even put it on top of your car. I'm one of the guys that'll be a helper. We give away the stand for you to put your tree there, and we give away Future Looks Bright ornament to the first 100 that come there at our property. If you want more information on that, text the word tree to 310-340-1132. Again, text the word tree to 310-340-1132. We intentionally kept the first 4 hours, 3.5 hours to give it to people that are of need of a Christmas tree. And then we bought another 100, 150 to just give away to anybody that's our fans in Florida, that you follow our content, that we want you to come out to us. We love Christmas. Christmas is a very unique season. Some of my greatest memories of my life is Christmas. Till today, I look forward to Christmas like you can't even believe. I love Christmas. There's something very special about it. Family, values, camaraderie, being with people you love, the memories, the games, the food, all of that. If you're in South Florida, you live within a 50, 100-mile radius. If you want to drive down here, no problem. Text the word tree to 310-340-1132. We will respond back with details for it. We hope to see many of you guys from Florida there. We'll give you the intel. God bless. Okay, all right. So let's go to next story here. I think one of the stories that we haven't gotten into yet that I wanted to really get into is this police in Moscow raid bars over LGBTQ propaganda. This is a Barron's story, okay? Adam's favorite story, not sure what, because he has some thoughts on. And Adam, I'm gonna come to you first.
Neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. We don't. But Moscow police raided at least 3 bars, including the popular Mono Gay Club. Great name, Mono Gay Club, and Inferno Night, detaining patrons and arresting the director of a travel agency for gay men under laws criminalizing LGBT propaganda. What is this about, guys? Why is this a story? The director of Men Travel, a 40-year-old gay travel agency owner, was arrested for allegedly preparing a trip for supporters of non-traditional sexual values of Egypt. What? According to state media reports, these actions coincide with 1-year anniversary of Russia's Supreme Court banning the international LGBT movement. Can you play this clip, Rob? By the way, is this appropriate clip to play? I don't want to do the Pornhub situation again.
I think we're okay. I didn't see any nudity when I watched
Vinny,
it
is there any dangling
I haven't seen
around?
This one, but if you guys do see Adam in there, it's not him. It's a lookalike. It's a doppelganger.
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. Kids, close your eyes. Adults, you're fine.
There's a dancer.
I was dancing. I was just dancing.
I don't get it though. What's this?
So that's them raiding. That's them raiding a gay. They were raiding gay clubs. They're raiding them. Arresting.
Why are they raiding gay clubs?
By the way, I don't think this is a gay story. I don't think this is a gay story.
Oh, by the way, keep playing this clip. What is this, Rob? So this is the gay club? Now, here's my question with these cops.
What's with the cage?
No. What question I got with the cops is, why are you straight cops going and spreading the legs of gay men?
Yeah.
Who are the gay men here?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the cops. Hey, we have a mission. We are raiding this gay club. Boss, I want to in. I want to go. I'll arrest these guys and I'll spread their legs and I'll arrest them. I'm telling you I'm going to do the right thing for Russia. Please, boss, put me in. What is this situation all about?
I have dibs.
Can you do that one more time?
Ridiculous.
By the way,
a little bit like what is this?
Tom goes, what's that cage?
Yeah. No, I know. There's like a.
All right, Tom. So you would give us your experience with what this place is like.
I have zero experience at this, but I'm going to share something. Over the weekend, the story was coming up, and I'm like, what are they doing? And there was other news reports coming out, and a human rights group came out that said that there were, first of all, that the Russian Orthodox Church and Vladimir Putin do not support or encourage the lifestyle choice.
Some of those cops do.
Yes,
but go ahead.
do.
No, they don't. They meet from the top. They don't.
Yeah.
And there were pictures of some of these guys. One of them had a black eye, and he was holding up conscription papers.
Wait, black guy or you said black eye?
Black guy.
Black eye. Okay.
Black eye.
Sorry, because I saw black guy right there.
You know what conscription is?
It's where they make you join the military.
Draft. It's
draft.
Right. It's like draft or jail. And you can find pictures of these guys showing the papers that said, hey, I was taken downtown. They then gave me checked my ID. They told me that I was part of a anti-government, protest or something. And here's my papers. I'm drafted. And if you can find this, Rob, people were saying that they were drafted on the spot. Now, there's a lot of BS and a lot of things can go around. And I tried to find a couple different sources to kind of validate this. But if the Russian government is just deciding that it's going to go draft people and it's running out of guys in the military, and they say, hey, you know what? We're not really encouraging this lifestyle. What if we busted the clubs and just give some of these guys conscription notices?
Wow.
And if that's what's happening, that's pretty bad.
But does this make sense though? So Russia,
that's
Putin,
a great picture, Rob. Out of all the pictures, you decided to pull that picture up. Rob, pull that picture up again.
Rob, did you find anything on that? Like
no,
Rob's
the picture, Rob, other way.
That the club raids conscription.
Why would you pull that picture up, Rob?
I was looking for what
he
Tom
does not look.
Tom, go ahead.
I go. Well, think about this. So Russia shut down gay nightclubs because there was gay men hanging around other men. So now they're joining the military where they're just going to be surrounded around all men.
Is that what they're doing?
They're getting a conscription, which is, so in Russia, conscription mandates all men 18 to 30 must serve 1 year term in the military. And then the recent legislation changed it to 18 to 27. So you're giving these gay dudes orders to basically join the military where they're going to be, like, can you imagine you're a Ukrainian soldier and you run into a gay Russian soldier and he's like, listen, I don't want to fight, but you're cute. Maybe.
Well, the good news is you only have to serve a year.
1 year,
right?
Yeah,
and if you're killed in Ukraine, you don't have to finish the year.
Really? So you just, okay. That's great.
But let me ask you, so they're saying gay clubs are not legal in Russia. That's what they're saying.
I don't think that's what they're saying. I think they regard it as rebel. And so the reasons that the police had for going in there seem sketchy because it seems that it's legal to have these clubs.
Yeah.
But they're looking for people to draft. That's the story.
They need soldiers.
By the way, Tom, let me ask you a question, Tom. God, this is just too many options for me, the angles to take. You mean to tell me these guys want to draft soldiers and they go to a gay club?
That's exactly what they were doing.
I think they're running. Yep. Well, they're running
I'm
out
sure
of.
Zelensky's celebrating.
No, they're running. I'm not. By the way, I'm not supporting this. What I'm saying is, the Russian government.
It sounds like that you think it's a good strategy. I don't think it's a good strategy.
No, the Russian government is running out of guys. They're running out of guys that are coming voluntarily in the military.
Is that the gun in your pocket?
Men are still guys, but it's not. You think they're waking up saying, I want to go to war against Zelensky and Ukraine? You think that's what they're thinking? I don't think that's what they're thinking.
I don't think so either.
You think like that club is filled with like special forces, like Delta Force?
It's filled with general infantry guys. They're going to be forced to join, and they're going to get boots and a long rifle, and they're going to be sent out frontline guys.
Maybe they like long rifles.
Maybe they do. I was just going to say that.
That's true. Well, Tom, let me look.
But I'm saying, Rob, did you find this? Because if this is really what it was about, then this is terrible, right?
I think that's part of
Next time, warn me with stories.
I'm
like
saying
this.
it's not about gay or straight. If Russia's
story.
running out of guys and they're just finding reasons to come raid clubs, find people, and compulsorily draft them, that's bad.
Hey, how dare you guys be around a bunch of guys? Like, go join the military where there's only guys in foxholes
I
and
think
vodka.
Tom is partly right, but there's more to the story. So I'm in Russia this weekend, and there I am in a club. And next thing you know,
I'm in the military.
I'm with my buddies. I'm having a good time. Boom, bang, bing. These guys show up. I'm just trying to have a good time. But the reality is this. In Russia, Putin's been in power 25 years. And a year ago, he put into motion, via the Russia's Supreme Court, a decision to classify the LGBTQ movement as an extremist organization.
23, right?
Yeah. So his whole emphasis has been on traditional family values, having more kids, making Russia great again. We understand that concept. So, but he's labeling the movement, the organization of this LGBT an extremist organization. The best example I can give is when someone says, hey, Black Lives Matter. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm with you. All lives matter. Yeah. But the actual organization, BLM, turned out to be a Marxist sham that was siphoning money from people.
Yeah.
So essentially what he's doing is cracking down on the LGBT movement, but in the form of what? You're just raiding gay clubs? So I don't know. This is the whole problem with Russia, is that are they a democracy? Are they a dictatorship? Are they authoritarian? You know, who knows what's going on there? It's like, it reminds me of, so that's what's going on. If you're gay in Russia, boom, you're just getting cracked down. Imagine being a gay in Gaza. Good luck with that, buddy. Have fun holding your sign out here in America.
Yeah.
But we know what's going to happen to the gay clubs
go
in
on
Gaza.
a march in Gaza and declare Pride Month and find out it's just going to be Pride Day until you're bonked on the head.
From a tactical standpoint, though, if you think about it from tactics, it is harder to shoot because gay guys walk really like, geez, like it's hard to shoot. You know what I mean? If he's just like dancing, it'll be hard to. You can't shoot that guy. He's all flamboyant. He's running around. I think it's a good tactic move, Rob. What do you think?
I mean, you're thinking about it from having been.
I'm thinking I was in the military.
Yeah,
a straight guy walks like this. A gay guy's like, yes, you can aim and shoot that guy. He's dancing. He's frolicking.
Are you a tank or just happy to see me?
I know that we're kind of having fun with this, and that's funny.
Let's
but
go to the
imagine
next
just
one.
you're just a regular gay guy in Russia just trying to live
How
your
about
life.
being a regular?
And you go to jail because you go to a bar.
I'm
It's
gonna
actually
go to the next
overreaching.
Let Pat go to the next story.
How about
Stop.
being parents of a 22-year-old man who's now been drafted and being sent to an endless war?
Tom,
Let's
we're
just.
going to be okay, Tom.
I'm not gonna wear that uniform.
No, I mean,
it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Stop.
Let's go to the next story here. So Musk, Bernie Sanders admits Elon Musk is right and backs Doge if it makes major cuts in the department. Bernie Sanders sides with
The socialist.
Elon Musk. Okay, think about that.
Weird.
So apparently you can teach an old Doge new tricks. Lefty Senator Bernie Sanders turned head Sunday with his support for President Donald Trump's planned new Doge, providing it takes aim at the Pentagon's cushy budget. Elon Musk is bright. The Pentagon, and with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its seventh audit in a row. It's lost track of billions. Last year, only 13 senators voted against the military-industrial complex and a defense budget full of waste and fraud. This must change. And this is the story that's getting them to get closer, talking about this taking place. Last month, Doge, a Department of Defense announced it had failed its 7th independent audit in a row, which has troubled both Republicans and Democrats. The department has been authorized to receive $824 billion in government money during 2024 fiscal year. Tom, thoughts on this?
You know what? This is Bernie Sanders not coming to his senses. He's been against kind of excessive government spending. He's been all over this. And this is Bernie Sanders saying, you know what you guys are doing is right. It's also, I think, interested what you think, Vinny. It's the establishment. It's, guess what? Now you have three people pointed at the same establishment that's just full of bribes, criminality, and things that are going on in defense spending.
Tom, how much of this is Bernie, how old is Bernie Sanders right now? How old is Bernie Sanders
guess,
right now?
73.
No, dude, he's
old.
got to be 80 at this point.
He's old.
Really?
Yeah, he's old. He's 83.
192.
83.
Yeah. So Bernie's
73.
Bernie's 83 years old. Okay. By the way, to be fair, he looks healthy for 83 years old. He doesn't give me 83-year-old vibe. I'm not being disrespectful.
He's 70s, but he's not really falling down the other side.
I mean, he walks better than Biden does. Can you type in a video, Bernie Sanders walking? I want to see how Bernie Sanders walks. And Bernie Sanders walking. Oh, wow. Tom has to pee.
Tom has to
old man walking.
There
he goes.
By the way, play this
Old
clip
man
of Bernie Sanders
out.
walking. Go back a little bit. Ron. Let's see how Bernie walks. Watch this. Who walks?
Sunday night, U.S. Senator and former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders
he
walking
walks
the picket line
very
with
good.
And he holds
Teamsters
signs
Local
great.
283.
When is this from?
I love the support.
This was this year because everybody has.
I'm sorry,
Harris
guys.
Walt shirts.
He doesn't look like he walks like it. Biden walks. He walks better than Biden, and Biden's 81.
Yeah.
Okay, if they were to walk in a walking competition, which who knows, Jake Paul could pull it off to put these guys go against each other for $10 million. If they were to walk, I think Biden loses to Sanders.
For sure.
So how much of this is that Sanders is getting to an age where he's like, hey, man, this is a legacy move here. I'm going to get closer to these guys. These guys, the American people have agreed with them more than our policies. I'm going to get closer, and I know this is coming. And he's agreeing, or how much of this is the horseshoe where the guys on both sides are kind of like, hey, this is the area we all agree with. I'm anti-establishment. Let's just say he's an anti-establishment guy, although he went and supported Kamala Harris, which is a form of being an establishment guy. But how much of it you think is that? How much of it is, I just think Elon's smarter and he's making a better choice than the other side is.
I'll tell you what's going on. I think if there's one thing that Bernie Sanders has not been known for, Bernie Mac. There's one thing that Bernie Sanders has not been known for. It's
6-0. Lord, come help me. Maybe Sydney's mouth.
I'm a socialist.
I can't believe I brought up Bernie Mac.
Pull my hair with a balloon.
The millionaires and the billionaires. If there's one thing he's not known for, it's doing math. This is the guy that proposed the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, Medicaid for all, which is basically adding trillions of dollars to the deficit. There's one thing that Bernie can get behind is stop spending money on the military-industrial complex that just continually. So, there you go, Tom, right there. Come on in.
Can't believe it, guys. He's back.
So I actually got to give Bernie Sanders a little bit of credit for basically acknowledging what we all understand is that holy moly, we just got bombed down here.
I thought it was the end of the world
So-
there, guys. Sorry.
Is that the government is not good at doing math and paying its bills. Our income, what the United States government took in from 2023, I don't think we have the federal budget for 2024, the results yet. 2023 income, $5 trillion. What were our expenses? $6.7 trillion. We're $1.7 trillion in the negative, in the blackout here. So if it comes down to cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it needs to be done, whether it's the military-industrial complex of the U.S. defense, something's got to give to basically to get this budget back on track. So you got to give Bernie a little credit for basically acknowledging that, yes, Vivek and Elon Musk are going to come in and basically clean house. Now, here's the task. They said that they're going to cut $2 trillion worth of waste, cut the fat, trim the expenses, eliminate the needless, unnecessary spending. How long is that going to take? Is that in a year? Is that in 4 years? Because Trump's administration is only 4 years. So what's going to happen? Because DOGE is not a real government department. They just made it up.
Yeah, good.
The Department of Government Efficiency. It's not like that's a part of government already. They're coming in and trying to clean house. So we're going to see what happens here. But at the end of the day, all the budgets have to go through the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. So we're going to see what actually gets cut. But respect to Bernie for basically understanding that drastic changes need to be made.
I actually like this, to be honest with you. I actually like seeing this. I like seeing moments like this. And by the way, one final thoughts I'll say here about Trump before we wrap up. You know what's the great thing about power and where you realize, someone's true character is the following. Is when you have the power to destroy someone's life and you don't. Vice versa. You have the power to destroy someone's life and you do. Watch this. Who had power the last 4 years?
Biden, Department of Justice, FBI.
Did they try to destroy Trump's life?
1,000%.
In what way?
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
In what way?
With lawfare, with women, with...
no, it was basically lawfare. That was what they used.
Yeah,
and then the media was all on the other stuff.
But they try to destroy his life. And
then he also got shot in the head, which if you want to say they're either a part of it or they did it, so that's a whole different situation.
That's but the point is, they used power, right? The DOJ's power to destroy the man's life.
Yes.
And they were supposed to be the unifier party.
Yeah.
Biden was.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the unifier.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to bring everybody together. Now, riddle me this, okay? To all the people that are like, this guy's going to be the dictator.
Yeah.
Imagine if the guy who is supposed to do what they did to him, he takes office and he doesn't do that. Imagine he becomes a guy that he invites Justin Trudeau to Mar-a-Lago and they have dinner together, everybody smiling, and Justin says, rumor has it, Peter Ducey reported on this, he said, Justin told the president, he says, hey, this is it, Rob?
Yeah.
Play this clip.
This is hilarious.
And tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from two people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor. Right.
Pause. By the way, see, you got to love him for that.
Funny.
He'll talk shit to your face. I guarantee Justin laughed. Look at the smile on his face. That's not a fake laugh.
Yeah.
That's a laugh, a smile of I'm enjoying my company with this freaking guy I'm supposed to hate. Okay? So he could, imagine, flip this. Flip, Biden wins, okay? And they have a Justin Trudeau, but except it's Trump, it's a conservative. Okay? Do you think a Biden winning, they'll invite DeSantis to dinner and,
absolutely not.
Break bread and have this kind of conversation? Okay.
Never.
So let me tell you, the guy that everybody's saying the fear porn, saying he's going to be the dictator, the divider, all that stuff, everybody who's supposed to be his enemy is now taking sides with him. Why are they doing that? Why are they coming to Mar-a-Lago? Why are they coming having dinner with him? Why is Mar-a-Lago a party every single night with everybody coming there together where it's becoming a new White House? Mar-a-Lago is the new White House, okay? Why is that happening? Imagine if he, with all the power right now he has, Congress, Senate, all the new appointments, everybody he puts in there, instead of being able to destroy all of these people's lives, he does the accountability part, which needs to be in place, and then finds a way to finish off his legacy as a unifier. Imagine that.
Sick.
Do you know how confusing that would be? Let me put it to you this way. In about 20 years, we're going to go to the movies. And we're going to watch a movie of Donald Trump, played by somebody. And as somebody today is probably in their 40s and 50s, they'll be in their 60s and 70s, and the actor's going to have to play a whole different slew of ages. So they're going to have to get a few different things that they'll do. And you're going to sit there in 20 years, in 2044. And he may be around still at that time. He looks super healthy. But in 20, 30 years, we'll be at the movies and we'll sit there with our kids who'll be in their 30s, 20s, 40s. And they're going to say, this guy, you guys really lived through the time where this guy was the president? We did. Really? How was it like, Dad? How was it like, Mom? Well, let me tell you, this is really who he was. This is really what he did. Wow. So he went from being the guy that they painted to be Saul to Paul. He went from being this guy that was a brutal and all these other guys and all that stuff they did to him, and he still came back and unified America. Yes. Why did he do that? One, because he's very competitive. He's got pride in his name and his ability to deliver and his reputation. And at the same time, he also loves his country called the United States of America. And as much as people hate saying it, imagine being forced to say, this guy united us. Imagine you in 4 years, when his term is done with and he's moving out, everybody from all those media platforms that said all this stuff about him, they have to say, here is the man who united America. The last person we thought that could do this. This guy has a shot In the book, Barbarians to Bureaucrats, this is a historic moment. If you go to the chart, the images, Rob, just go back and go to images. In this book, he talks about actually go to the bottom left one. You see right there, bottom left, bottom left, Rob, you're right there, yeah. Zoom in a little bit on that one. He talks about how there's a prophet. That's George Washington, founding fathers. Then he talks about the barbarians. That's the guys that came in and they fought for America, the generals, the military leaders. Washington is still part of it. Then you got the builders and explorers, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilt, the Musks, the Franklins, the Chase, all these guys that built incredible businesses. Then the administrators showed up. 1906, taxes, okay? Federal Reserve, all this bullshit stuff that showed up, right? Administrator. Then bureaucrats showed up. The Obamas, the Carters, all these other guys, the aristocrats, all those guys showed up. And you know where we are right now? It's exactly where we are. The McConnells, all those guys, the Schiffs, all those guys. And you know who's the only person that can save a company or an organization going through this life cycle? A synergist. Trump has the opportunity to be a synergist. He does that, forget about it. I'm telling you, forget about it. That's the moment we're in today. And I'll finish on that. That this is a guy that has all the power right now to destroy people's lives. Imagine if he doesn't do it. And he's the guy that everybody thinks will. Anyways, gang, if you're still crazy enough to be with us, we appreciate you. This doesn't feel like work to us. We love doing this. It's a lot of fun. Yesterday I was talking to the guys. We had a big executive strategy session, the best one we've ever had so far. We started early and we finished late. And it ended with some interesting phone calls about some polls that Tom, but that's a different story. Maybe one day we'll talk about. Yeah, different Tom and polls. It's you got to be careful when you're asking for advice sometimes with the poll stuff. But I will tell you this: one of our channels that's growing and doing phenomenal job, enlightening, entertaining, and empowering. Probably more on the entertainment side is Valuetainment Comedy. Got to give a shout out to Vinny. This channel just in the last couple months went from 50,000 subs to almost 140,000 subs.
Nice, Vinny.
If you love Vinny and the great work he does as a part-time chiropractor, as a part-time speechwriter, as a part-time making salad from India, as a part-time, all this stuff that he does. If you love the work he does and the team does, it's a lot of people behind closed doors that are also helping with all this stuff. The Daniels, the Kellys, everybody. Go
Troy.
Subscribe to Valuetainment Comedy. I believe this thing has what it takes to have 10 million subscribers. Go subscribe to Valuetainment Comedy, put some thumbs up, give him some love, and then afterwards, connect Vinny and tell him, Vinny, I did so. Okay, Vinny, if you want to show your QR code, or Rob, if you want to put it up, after you subscribe, go to Vinny's Connect account and send the man some love for the amount of laughter he's bringing to people all around the world. Having said that, God bless everybody. We got a couple podcasts that's going to be coming out. I think we have another Baldwin brother that's about to come down here to do another podcast with us. And then we'll do another. Are we doing live again this Thursday or no?
Friday will be live, Home Team Podcast, and then we'll have Daniel Baldwin Thursday at 9 a.m.
Okay, fantastic. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Whatever Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Do you know President Trump? You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interest, and he's very forceful about it.
Would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
Probably not, but it's hard to say with these maniacs. I think Iran would have been more careful.
I'm curious, did you know the president was going to be saying this?
We're going to take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs.
I'll bet you don't know this, Patrick. If America wants to come in and invest that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So you would be okay if America takes over Gaza and it becomes something that we control. You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, but it's an American choice. Our victory will be your victory.
Why haven't you yet recognized the Armenian, Assyrian, and the Greek genocide that the Turkish did to that community? If you step foot in their country, they're supposed to arrest you. They're calling you a wartime criminal, the offenses you've done, they're calling it a genocide.
It's been a battle that has been going on for 3,500 years. So I'll have to do what we have to do. We'll fight with our fingernails if we have to. A lot of people felt in their gut, but they didn't have the guts to say it out loud.
I don't know if it's come from you, though. I don't know if it's come from the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm supposed to take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
BetDavid.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. Right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Good to be with you, Patrick.
So I have a very simple open-ended question for you. Why are you doing this podcast tour?
Well, number one, because I heard that you invited me. Number two, because I think it's a way to puncture the lies and the vilifications that are leveled at Israel. And I think that's part of the, we have a 7-front war with Iran and its proxies, but this is the 8th front, the battle for truth. So that's why I'm doing it.
It's interesting when you say that, because when we look at a couple numbers, if we think about the Pew Research that came out a couple months ago on the unfavorability rate of Israel, they have you 24 out of 5. If I look at the number, Rob, I don't know if you have it to pull it up. If you look at the numbers, you would see the 24-country medium is 62 to 29 being favorable. Why do you think so many countries are unfavorable of Israel today?
I think it's a combination of historical trends, but also of the impact of social media, especially engineered social media with paid bots. And this new media environment that we're in, it has built-in parameters that really take their toll. So we're aware of that. But I think the most important thing is that for democracies to fight wars, they should be as short as possible. And my way of combating the PR war is by winning the ground war and winning it quickly. The quicker you win it, the better you'll come out of this assault.
So why do you think this is taking so long? Because if you think a part of it, when you think about especially in America, there's 3 different types of people on social media right now, or in America, that follow you. One, they fully believe you're committing a genocide right now. They're part of the community that's thinking they compare you to some dictators, some terrible leaders in the past, many names you've heard of before. Some of them are blindly supportive of what you're doing, but there's the other community that's almost a little bit burned out, that's wanting this story to end. Obviously, it's tragic. We're seeing what's going on. We're seeing all the stories, but why do you think this is taking longer than it's taking?
Well, I don't think it's taken longer than it's taking. Look at what we had to fight. We were attacked viciously by the most savage attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. That's by Hamas on October 7th. I said on the second day of the war, when Hezbollah joined the fray, I said we're going to change the face of the Middle East, because it was clear to me, and it may be clear to you too, that we're fighting the Iran axis. Without Iran, I would say that all the proxies collapse. Hezbollah collapses, Hamas collapses, Assad collapses, and so on. So it was clear to me that we had to topple the Iran axis and not just deal with Hamas. And what happened following that was that we went in, Hamas is in its last breath. We haven't finished it yet, but we crippled Hamas. Then we went and finished off Hezbollah, took out Nasrallah. That led to the collapse of the Assad regime, whose armaments we destroyed. The Syrian army's armaments. We dealt with the Houthis, still dealing with them. And then we had Iran itself that had struck us, and we had to strike back. And as you see, we changed the face of the Middle East, not only because we hobbled the proxies, but because Iran, which was a totally invincible enemy throwing its weight around, not only in the Middle East, spreading terror everywhere, and trying to arm itself with nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles to deliver them. We struck them very hard. So when you fight these four fronts, and there are another three, by the way, that I haven't mentioned, when you're doing that, a small country, it takes time. But I think we're approaching the final leg, and that's really finishing off Hamas. We can't have those monsters at spitting distance from Tel Aviv and our communities, and we're going to finish it.
Yeah, so when you say that for a person that lived in Iran, I look at the critics and they're giving, hey, let me tell you, it's not fair what he's doing with this. And you see ICC, which the average person, when they see ICC, 124 countries, that if you step foot in their country, they're supposed to arrest you, okay? And they're calling you a wartime criminal, the offenses you've done, the amount of, again, like I said earlier, they're calling it a genocide. How do you answer to the critics that they don't follow politics, they don't follow the stories closely? But if they see if they see 120 something countries that if you land there, they're supposed to arrest you, the average person is going to say, maybe this isn't a good guy.
Yeah, well, they said that about Churchill too. He was a warmonger when he was talking about the German Axis and the danger to the West. He said he warned of the slumber of democracies. And I guess if I learned one thing from our history, the history of the Jewish people, is that you can't sleep. When somebody says they're out to annihilate you, you better take it seriously and act to prevent it. And that's the central lesson that we learned in the rebirth of the Jewish state and the Jewish people in Israel. We don't wait to be annihilated. We take forceful action against our would-be annihilators. And I think that, people see it after you do it. After you do it, after you realize your vision, then people say, well, yeah, we begin to understand it. But they don't before, and that's certainly true of the case here. In the United Nations, you have 180 countries, 190 countries, and a great majority would tell you that the earth is flat. It doesn't make it flat. And the vilifications against Israel is a country committing genocide and other war crimes. That doesn't make it true either. Let me tell you, did you ask me about the ICC prosecution just now? Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you about that. So we were going to have this ICC prosecutor who's since been basically put to pasture. This ICC prosecutor was going to come to Israel in the beginning of the war. And he said, well, Israel has, it has a proper judicial system, and I don't see any real problem there. And he was about to come. And a day before he's about to come, he suddenly cancels the trip. And 2 days later, he issues this war crimes charge against me and the former defense minister. And we didn't understand, why did he do it? It took us months to discover that a few days before that, he was confronted by one of his staff members, a senior staff members, who brought the charges of rape and sexual misconduct that this prosecutor carried out against one of his staff members, a woman, a Malaysian woman, by the way, who was fiercely anti-Israel. But she had suffered this harassment and these rapes for over a year. And Khan believed that this was his ruin. His brother, who's a British parliamentarian, was in jail for sexual misconduct too. So he said, that's it, that's the end of me. And then he figured out that there's one way to get out of this, and that is to deflect the entire conversation, to preempt it by blaming the Jews and blaming the prime minister of the Jewish state. And that's essentially what he did. Since then, you should know that there have been 4 or 5 other women who charged him with sexual misconduct. So what you have here is the ICC, which is a corrupt organization, totally politicized, unelected, that wants to, basically preempt the sovereignty of nations. And that's why the United States is not a member. They won't tell the United States that its soldiers are committing war crimes because some woke people in The Hague are telling you that. This ICC, this corrupt ICC prosecutor, thought that he would escape justice by basically by condemning us. And that's what he's done. And I think a lot of countries are waking up to that. It's sort of embarrassing when your chief prosecutor is doing such a corrupt and heinous thing. But that's the ICC. I mean, President Trump has put sanctions on him. He's put sanctions on the judges who did this. I think he's just facing, that's what I like about him. He just cuts to the chase. This is a corrupt organization, a corrupt prosecutor, corrupt judges, and it reminds me of that movie. You remember Network? I think.
Yes.
It said, we're not going to take it anymore. And it's not just Israel, because if they target Israel and they say to a democracy defending itself against these savages, you can't defend yourself, then no democracy is safe, and America isn't safe. So I think that's come out. There is extraordinary vilification, extraordinary lies leveled at Israel, and they're meant to prevent us from exercising our legitimate right of self-defense. They won't succeed.
So if we talk about the legitimate right for you to defend yourself, you'll see the numbers. I'm a business guy. I'll see how this war has cost you roughly $120 to $130 billion, whether it's Hamas, Gaza, Iran, roughly $120 to $130 billion, reports that we read. Your debt to GDP ratio went from 60% to 75%. So some of the Americans, they're sitting there saying, yeah, we give you guys roughly $3.8 billion. For the war, America's given roughly $30 billion, which most of it was in weapons. But if you're going from 60 to 75%, how much longer can your economy or even the state be able to afford the war?
Patrick, I'm going to have some good news for you.
Please.
I led first as finance minister and then as prime minister, a free market revolution in Israel. And Israel became a wealthy country because we unleashed the genius in our population and innovators and just incredible capacity to produce products and services that service all mankind in medicine and communications. That cell phone that you're probably holding half of it is probably made in Israel. And the cherry tomatoes that you eat, they were made in Israel and so on. And medicines that you use, made in Israel. So Israel became a powerhouse, a juggernaut of innovation and enterprise. And it strengthened our economy. We went from $17,000 per capita to about $60,000 in a very short time. It's a tremendous success story. Now, here's the truth. This is something I just saw, a slide. I wish I had it here. Too bad. But the slide shows investments in R&D that a country receives from foreign sources. So number one is the United States, like huge. Number two, in absolute terms, now as we speak, today, is Israel, tiny Israel. The next country is Germany. It's 2/3 of Israel, and the rest of the Western countries fall further and further behind. So our economy is actually doing quite well, I should say, and it's amazing. And you're right to ask it. But there was an economic miracle in Israel, which I'm very proud to have led, and we just have this resilient capacity, both in our economy, but also in our fighting spirit. We've gone through the Holocaust, and I'm committed, as are my people, to prevent a second Holocaust that Iran was planning. And that's what we've been doing in this war. It's taken this long because we had to break this noose of death that Iran was going to put on us in their plans to conquer the Middle East, in their plans to then proceed to Europe, and in their plans to then proceed to America. They say death to America. We're just standing in their way. And boy, did we stand in their way.
So I guess the question to kind of move on from this one, do you see yourself, if you're saying the war is not going on for too long, if this thing takes a couple more years, do you see yourself getting to a point that you're going to need to the American taxpayers and need more money and support, or are you able to sustain the expenditure that you have right now?
Yeah, I think we've organized that, and we're perfectly able to do that. I want you to know one other thing. I think Israel is different from your other allies. We spend an inordinate amount of our GDP, inordinate amount, to defend ourselves. I think one of your senators said something very, very true. He said, if we had in Israel, in Afghanistan, or if we had another Israel there, we wouldn't have spent $1 trillion or trillions of dollars. Israel is receiving and is very grateful for the American military assistance at about $3.8 billion a year, and 80% of it is spent in the United States. That's the deal. So it helps American industries. But we also produce these incredible weapons that we share with the United States. We produce intel that is invaluable for the United States. You're familiar with the Five Eyes, Patrick?
Tell-
You know what that is? You
tell
know
me
all
more.
these countries that are part of the American intelligence system? Well,
Oh,
there's a
yes,
sixth
yes.
eye, Israel. It's a very powerful eye, and we share our intel with the American intelligence services, and that's why the bond is so strong. It's not only a bond of values of our common Judeo-Christian civilization, and it is really a war of civilization against the barbarians that we're fighting, but it's also a bond of utility, of great success. That partnership is very, very strong. I know it's challenged all the time, but it's very, very strong. And you should talk to some of the people in the higher places in the Pentagon. I wish you could talk to the people who share our intelligence or the weapon systems that we share. I think that you'll discover that they appreciate, as we appreciate enormously what America gives to us, and they appreciate what Israel gives to America. Somebody said to me, "You're the one fighting ally we have. You don't ask us to put boots on the ground. You don't ask us to fight your wars." Although President Trump did a great thing by joining in that precise strike that he did. Didn't just start World War III. It didn't bring thousands of American troops on the ground in Iran, but it did. It was a magnificent addition to our brave soldiers. So I have to tell you, I think it's a partnership that is going to go on for a long, long time. As far as I'm concerned, for all time.
Prime Minister, what do you say to the critics who say, Israel owns America, Israel is who makes America do things they want them to do, whether it's through AIPAC, whether it's through, funding, money. You'll typically hear this. This has been overly said the last couple of years in a major way. And there's a community of Americans that at this point believe that whatever Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. I think it's full of hokum. First of all, do you know President Trump? I mean, sort of, I've known him for many years.
Sure.
Okay. You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interests, and he's very forceful about it. When he sees allies who don't step up to the plate, he's not shy about saying it. And we have a different relationship altogether. It's not one of coercion or manipulation. It's one of common interests and common values. And I think that people understand that because Israel is different. It really is. We know that we have to fight for ourselves, and we do. But when we fight for ourselves, we fight for you too. Because we fight Iran. Iran tried to murder President Trump not once, but twice. Iran killed and wounded thousands of Americans with their IEDs, explosive devices, in Iraq and Afghanistan. Iran killed 241 Marines in Beirut. They bomb your embassies. They burn American flags. They have mobs chanting, "Death to America, death to America." So when we fight Iran, we're not just fighting our war, we're fighting your war. But we are fighting that war here in the Middle East. And let me tell you what would happen. And as someone who had been in the Middle East as a child, I think you can appreciate this. It's not only we who are threatened by Iran, it's our Arab neighbors too. They know that Iran wants to conquer them, pillage their oil fields, take over the Middle East, the maritime routes that control world trade. So they know that. But if you look at who's actually fighting Iran, it's Israel. It's Israel, our brave soldiers, our incredibly brave soldiers. And this tiny country, President Trump asked me, how do you guys do this? I mean, you're such a small country, we're the size of New Jersey, bigger than Rhode Island, but that's it. We're slightly smaller than New Jersey, and we take on this enormous empire with all its proxies, this anti-American empire that threatens to kill the president and chants death to America. How do you do this? And I said, well, you're like an enormous lion, almost like a prehistoric saber-toothed tiger. You're enormous. We're not, but we are, we're the badger, this little animal.
Absolutely.
Badger. And you see a badger being, some tiger or lioness is trying to kill it, and it sort of turns around. It has very sharp teeth, and it knows how to go to the weakness points, to the points of vulnerability of the enemy. And you see these things. I watch NGO Wild when my wife lets me because she likes to watch cooking shows. Okay. So late at night, after we have this argument, we settle on some compromise. And on Nat Geo Wild, I see these these films of this badger, this tiny creature, it's about this big, taking on a lion, and the lion runs away. So Israel is the badger of the international scene. It has the fortitude, the will to fight our enemies because of our history, because for so long we didn't have a state, we didn't have an army, we didn't have the ability to defend ourselves, which culminated in this crescendo of massacres that culminated in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust, in which a third of our people were annihilated. We have that in our bones, in our hearts, in our soul, and we fight. And that's I think President Trump would like to see more Israels around the globe, because, everybody who says, America first, I can respect that, but I don't think they want America alone. And if you can have allies that actually share your values and fight for them in various parts of the world, and especially in the Middle East with Iran trying to take over the world, I think that's a valuable addition. So, it'll take time for this to sink in, but it will sink in.
Yeah, the topic of America first, it's become a little bit more clear where people are being put in different groups, America first and America only, and that debate's going on right now, which is a great debate. I actually like listening to both sides make their argument. Well, you said, do you think President Trump is a type of a man that you can get anything you want and make him do what he wants? I don't think President Trump is. But I do think Biden and others are. So the whole criticism of the fact that Israel, whatever they want, they can call America and have favors being done, I would agree with you on Trump, but with Biden. So maybe a question that I don't think has been asked yet. Putin was asked 2 weeks ago if the war between Ukraine and Russia would have happened under Trump. He said, no, it wouldn't have happened. So for you, would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
I don't know. It's a good question, but you said something about Biden that I should just point out the facts. In fact, President Biden supported us in the beginning of the war after this horrific massacre, and he came here, and I very much appreciate it. But as the war progressed and the vilifications of Israel, the distortions on the media began to pile on, he began to take a different course. And when we were just 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way in Gaza, I said we have to go into that last position that they had, where they had organized battalions. It's in a city called Rafah, in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And he said, don't go there. And he said, if you do go there, I'll smack an embargo on you. Now, you're fighting a 7-front war, and all of a sudden you're slapped with an embargo of weapons. That was tough. And I said to President Biden, who I've known for many years, I respect the fact you're the president of the United States, but I'm the prime minister of the one and only Jewish state, and we've been fighting to survive in our small place under the sun. It's been a battle that has been going on for 3,500 years. So I'll have to do what we have to do. And then a few days later, Tony Blinken, who was the Secretary of State, came to Israel, and he said, the president is serious about this embargo. And I said, Tony, I know it's serious because you stopped all the weapons. You slow walked them before, but now you've stopped them. And then I said to him this. He said, well, how are you going to do it then? I said, Tony, we'll fight with our fingernails if we have to, but we're not going to leave. It's like the Allies would leave a quarter of the German battalions in place and not go into Berlin. And I said, would you take that? Would you take that, Patrick? Of course you wouldn't. So we didn't take it either. We did it against the opposition of the American president. So much for Israel controlling the United States. We don't. But we do seek to control our destiny. And when somebody commits a crime like they did on October 7th, decapitating our men, raping our women and then murdering them, burning children alive in front of their parents, taking 255 hostages, grandmothers with their grandchildren, this horror, and pledged to do it again and again and again. Well, what choice do we have? We have to fight them and their Iranian patrons, and we did just that. We did that first with American help, then with American opposition, and when President Trump came in, with great American help, which I truly appreciate. And I think President Trump does what he thinks is good for America. I don't think that. I know that for a fact. He's a great leader.
So going back to that, I want to clarify this again. So you said you don't know whether Hamas October 7 attack would have happened under Trump. So you're saying Hamas would have had the audacity, even under Trump, to have attacked, or no, they would have feared him?
Probably not, but it's hard to say with these maniacs. You can't quite tell. I think Iran would have been more careful, and Iran is the patron. Would they have controlled completely their client, their proxy? Maybe not. Maybe they would have, possibly. But look, I think President Trump has changed the posture of America. America is back on the global scene. America is resumed its powerful position among the nations. And I think that's for the good. Because I think one of the tragedies for the Jewish people was that in the first half of the 20th century, America was not the dominant global power. And the worst tragedy in the history of mankind, the World War II, took place, and I don't think it was accidental. And the worst tragedy in the history of my people, the Holocaust, took place. But in the second half of the 20th century, America emerged as the dominant power on the earth, and Israel came into being. And as a result, our history has changed. We no longer are massacred with impunity. We now have the ability to defend ourselves, and we are very fortunate to have an ally, a strong ally, the United States, with successive presidents. We've had our differences, as I said, but overall, there's been a very strong alliance through all presidents. But it's never been stronger. It's never been so intimate and so powerful as it is now under President Trump.
You've been prime minister while President Clinton was in the White House, Biden, Obama, and Trump twice. Is there an element of unpredictability with President Trump that you don't know necessarily what he's going to be saying next? Or do you notice a pattern of, similar approaches that they all take?
Well, look, I think President Trump has an enormous capability. He's irreverent to received wisdom, to traditional thinking. He says, well, let's look at it again, And sometimes he can surprise you. I'll tell you, I had conversations with him when he cuts to the chase on something, and he says something that no one before said. A lot of people felt in their gut, but they didn't have the guts to say it out loud. And he does. And I find that very refreshing. And also, I think that unpredictability is not a bad thing to have. Not a bad thing to have with sometimes with your allies, and certainly with your enemies.
I want to show you this clip. This is a clip of you and the president. You guys are standing right next to each other, and you give a look that you almost didn't know he was going to say this. And this is just personally for myself. I'm curious, did you know the president was going to be saying this? Go ahead and play the clip, Rob.
As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of. But everybody feels that continuing the same process that's gone on forever, over and over again, and then it starts, and then the killing starts, and all of the other problems start, and you end up in the same place, and we don't want to see that happen. So by the United States, with its stability and strength, owning it, especially the strength that we're developing and developed over the last fairly short period of time, I would say really since the election, I think we'll be a keeper of something that is very, very strong, very powerful, and very, very good for the area, not just for Israel, for the entire Middle East. Very important. And we'll, again, have thousands of jobs.
Can you pause it? You gave a look where you weren't expecting the president to say that, as if it's going to be our land. Were you surprised by what the president said here?
No, actually I wasn't, but I can tell you that he said something else there. He said, and that surprised the world, and I thought, again, he cut to the chase. He said, why are Gazans locked in this area, which is just used as a base for attack against Israel for its destruction? That's what the de facto Palestinian state in Gaza was. It was a base for Israel's destruction. It has no other purpose. And it lived under this horrible tyranny, this terror tyranny of Hamas. So he said, why not give people a choice? I mean, in other war theaters, in Ukraine or in Syria or in Afghanistan, millions left if they wanted to. In Gaza, they're locked in. Nobody allows them to leave. And he says, give them a choice. If they want to leave, let them leave. And for those who stay, rebuild Gaza. I thought that was actually a very sensible thing. And it's not our goal now to depopulate Gaza and all these other nonsenses that people say. Our goal is to free Gaza, free it from Hamas, free it from Hamas tyranny and terror. And you know, we now have Gazans. I'll bet you don't know this, Patrick. We now have Gazans fighting Hamas. And they say, thank God you're here. They didn't dare do that until the final stages of this war, which we're in now, because they know that they won't be slaughtered. So they fight, they actually fight Hamas. They fight these monsters. They call them monsters. And they're joining up with Israel. And I think that's a sign of hope, because we can have, once we finish off Hamas, Gaza can have a different future. Israel and Gaza can have a different future. And as far as I'm concerned, if America wants to come in and invest, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So you would be okay if America takes over Gaza and it becomes something that we control. You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, but it's an American choice. You know, I don't want to get into that.
But you would be okay with that. So even if America chooses,
look, I'd be okay with any governance that civilian governance in Gaza that doesn't teach its children to annihilate Israel, doesn't pay terrorists. That's what not the Hamas do only. It's what the Palestinian Authority, the other side of the Palestinian people does. They pay terrorists. The more Jews they kill, the more they pay them, and doesn't launch terrorists. You know, there are several ideas how to do that. But I think that America's help here is indispensable.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, because if all of a sudden that becomes U.S. territory, and U.S. now has interest in making sure there's not chaos there, that could actually be very effective for a lot of people in the community. I lived in Iran for 11 years, and maybe this is a transition. I got 3 other topics I'd like to talk to you about. Is when I lived in Iran for 11 years, I was born in 78. The Shah was leading Iran, you know, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. And when you look at the stats from 1941 when he took office to 1979, that 38 years that he was in, not a lot of wars. It was fairly peaceful. You have some numbers on the low end of 17,000 people that died due to war in Iran during that 38 years. High numbers, 50,000. In the Middle East, not as chaotic. Of course, there was issues, but not as much as they have now. Then from 1979, Khomeini comes in, IRGC, which I had the former founder of IRGC here. We had a conversation with him. Khomeini comes in 79. From 79 till today, if you look at the numbers, low end, 600,000 people died in Iran, 2 million people. In the Middle East, 4.5 to 5.5 million people have died. Of course, some of the words are different places, but still, when you go back to Iran, you have Houthis, you have all these other things that they control. How much do you think of what the Middle East was like pre the Islamic Revolutionary Guard took over? How everybody was able to find a way to get along versus what happened after 79? I know you're a big history person. What is the difference between those two eras?
Well, the big difference is the Islamist revolution that basically took these very gifted people. The Iranian people are enormously gifted. First of all, they have a tremendous historic culture, and you won't be surprised, but maybe your listeners would be surprised that in antiquity, in the time of the great Persian king Cyrus, there was a honeymoon between the Jews and the Persian people. And that relationship actually continued in modest ways, but in significant ways under the Shah. When the Shah went down and these theological thugs took over Iran, they basically said, our goal, that's in their constitution, is to export the Islamic revolution worldwide. And that's what they proceeded to do. So all the mineral resources, all the economic resources were now tuned to war. In the time that when I was finance minister and till today, Iran at that time and Israel had roughly the same GDP per capita. Ours went up from $17,000 to $60,000 per capita, and theirs stayed flat. Why? Because they took all that money, all that money to arm Hezbollah, arm Hamas, arm the Houthis, and purvey terror around the globe, not only in the Middle East, against the Arabs, against Israel, against everyone else, against Americans. So, what has happened is that Iran collapsed economically. They have now infrastructure that is completely destroyed. Their water system is depleted. Their dams are empty. Their rivers are drying up because they don't take care of their people. This is a horrible sect. So I gave, in this room where I was sitting a few days ago, I gave a podcast to the Iranian people, which I do from time to time. And I had a glass of water and, a pitcher of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we helped Iran and we're ready to help Iran with its water problems. And when you free yourselves of this tyranny, we'll do it again. Now, Patrick, how many views do you think I got for this this podcast?
How many?
It's a video, actually. How many?
How many?
70 million.
From
now,
Iran?
Iran has about 50 million, we
Wow.
think. So it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half the population. And you can tell that it hit a nerve because all the Iranian leadership proceeded to respond to it and to attack it and so on, which tells you it really got to them. And that's in fact what is happening. This regime is not only tormenting and executing and killing the people of Iran, they subjugate them, but they seek to subjugate the entire world in their mad fantasies, the Muslim world and then everyone else. And of course, we're not Muslims, so we have to be eliminated because we stand in their way of conquering the entire Middle East. So Israel is fighting here not only our war, but the war of our Arab neighbors, the war of the Western countries. They're developing now ballistic missiles that can reach deep into the heart of Europe. Their plan is to develop, the next thing is an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile that will reach 8,000 kilometers. You add another 3,000 and they can reach New York. Where are you broadcasting from, by the way?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah, they can reach Florida, Fort Lauderdale, New York, Washington, Boston, and after that, any other city in the United States. And they intend to put nuclear warheads on these ballistic missiles. So this is a fact. And the main fact that I want to say is that we're fighting in many ways the war of the West, the war of Western civilization against these barbarians. And our victory will be your victory. And one more thing. You talked about the Iranian Revolution. You remember how it started? You remember what the first thing that they did when they took over Tehran?
You talking about the toast with Carter, or are you talking about after when they took over?
Well, they took over and then they took the American embassy and held some 50 hostages.
My aunt was in the embassy. Absolutely, yes.
So this regime began by taking hostages. And what do their proxies do today? They take our hostages for extortion. They take our hostages. I liberated 205 out of 255. We still have at least 20 alive and about 30 dead, and we intend to get all of them. And that's what we're fighting for now. But it just tells you what the nature of this regime and its proxies is. It's anti-West, anti-America, anti-Western civilization. It's not good to be a Christian. It's very bad to be a Jew in Iran. And it's very bad to be either one of those in any part of Iran's proxies.
Right. I wish we had a couple hours to talk about Iran because I have a lot of interest in that topic with you. But I do want to get to the last question I have with you. This is the one challenge I personally have. My audience is not going to be that interested in this story except for people from my community. The Holocaust has been recognized by 193 different countries, right? Everybody around the world. And in some countries, if you denied, you could do jail time. Many countries, you can do jail time a year or 5 years. But for anybody that doesn't recognize Armenian Assyrian genocide, if there's any country that I would have expected to be on the list that recognized the Armenian and the Assyrian and the Greek genocide, it would be Israel. Why haven't you yet recognized the Armenian, Assyrian, and the Greek genocide that the Turkish did to that community?
In fact, I think we have, because I think the Knesset passed a resolution to that effect.
I don't know if it's come from you, though. I don't know if it's come from the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. That's important to me. And I'm sure a lot of Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks around the world appreciate you saying that. Prime Minister Netanyahu, thank you so much for your time. I wish we had more time together. Maybe next time it'll be a sit down with a couple hours where we don't have to go. I know you have a cabinet meeting to go to. Again, I appreciate you for your time today.
Thank you, Patrick, and I'd love to talk to you again. Thank you.
Looking forward to it. So, what was your biggest takeaway? I know we covered a lot of things he hasn't spoken about before. One, October 7th, would it have happened under Trump? Number two, the amount of money they're spending on the war, $120, $130 billion, 60% debt to GDP ratio, now 75%. Are you going to come back to America to more money? Three, the fact that, he's looked at 124 different countries that if he steps foot on that land, he's getting arrested. And last but not least, obviously him recognizing for the first time in the history of Israel that he recognized the Armenian, Assyrian, Greek genocide, not as a massacre, not as a crisis, but as a genocide. This is the first time that it's ever happened. And so whether you like him, hate him, or love him, whichever one of those three communities you're in, if you have any questions for me, we have a private circle for PBD Podcast on Connect. You can download the QR code here and talk to one another, agree, disagree. If you have any questions you want to ask me on Connect, I'll be able to address it. Any questions you may have about this interview, I'll address it there as well. Either way, if you enjoyed the interview, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.